guest today is Johnny Sotello, and thank you for coming out and doing this. I really appreciate it. We linked up when our buddy Seth passed, and I know listeners of this show are familiar with that because I did an episode tribute to Seth, but Johnny was in the teams with them, and you guys went through buds together, right?
Went through buds together through Hell Week, and then we became roommates when we were new guys in the teams. And let me tell you, what a wild fucking ride.
Yeah. So, and that was one of the coolest things. I mean, it is what it is, right? Life and death, especially in our profession, we're pretty used to it. And so when we went out to his funeral, one of the, I guess if you can call it a silver lining, was linking up with all of you guys, meeting a lot of Seth's friends that, because I worked with Seth in the contracting world. And so it was removed from the teams. But man, seeing you guys come together like that and do like that tribute for him, it was really powerful to see.
Yeah, it was pretty special, without a doubt.
I caught a little bit of flack from some people on the internet. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I did.
They were like, why is there a Ranger crest in the SEAL thing? And it's like, hey, motherfucker, because Johnny Sotello invited me to do that. That's why.
Exactly. And I invited, anybody there that served, that had their pin, whether it was SEAL, Ranger, SF, CAG, the agency, whoever was there to honor him, we were more than welcome to like, hey, you guys pin it. You knew him, you worked with him, you loved him. That's what it was all about.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I actually wanted to ask you this, so it's a good segue. But when you're in the military and you're in your specific unit, at least in the Ranger Regiment, it is believed that we are the best light infantry force on planet Earth. And the SEALs are prima donnas, and these units suck at this, and that unit sucks at that. But Rangers were fucking awesome, right? And dude, it wasn't until, and I bought into that stuff.
Right.
And it wasn't until I started contracting. And the contracting world brought the special ops community together.
Without a doubt.
And then you had a team where you had 2 SEALs, 2 Force Recon guys, 2 Rangers, 2 Green Berets, and a Delta dude. And then you realize, the whole community is full of rad people.
Without a doubt.
100%. And that's where I started, like, every SEAL that I ever worked with, because I had some SEALs on my team in Ramadi. I had some SEALs on my team in Baghdad and Erbil. Like, everywhere I went, I had some SEALs that were on my team, and every single one of those guys I fucking loved.
Without a doubt.
And
the same goes for like the Green Berets and the Rangers I worked with on my first couple of contracts. Solid dudes. I mean, we're all cut from the same cloth, right? Like,
well, bro, and I don't know. I've talked about it on the show before. I was literally bouncing back and forth between a Navy recruiter to get a SEAL contract and an Army recruiter to get a Ranger contract.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? I was just like, and I wasn't like this patriot that wanted to serve my country. I was just a young kid that wanted to do something hard. So I was like, dude, maybe I'll be a Navy SEAL. And I went and talked to the SEAL or the Navy recruiter, and he was a douchebag. He was like, hey, you want to go do a baseball game with me? And I'm like, no, I want to be a Navy SEAL. And it was just, he was giving me weird energy, but this is how naive you are. That dude has nothing to do with the SEAL community,
right?
But as an 18-year-old, I was like, dude, the Army guys seem real cool, but the Navy guys seem kind of dorky. I think I'll go in the Army. And it's like one little interaction with one person changed potentially my whole career, you know?
You went right instead of left, or left instead of right.
Yeah. So, but one thing that we talked about a little bit when I met you out in Coeur d'Alene was you're still in the fight, but in a different capacity. And you're helping a lot of people from our special operations community heal from their PTSD or PTS. We're going to leave the D off, right?
Yes, correct.
Everybody gets, that's just what we called it for so long, but we're trying to get away from calling it a disorder because that kind of puts a stigma on it, right?
Right.
The reality is if you go overseas and you kill human beings and you lose friends, you come home with some stuff.
You do, without a doubt. And it's an injury.
Yes.
It's not a disorder. It's an injury from doing our jobs.
And man, you introduced me to some people out there, and I thought this would be a powerful topic because tons of people that listen to this show have walked a similar path than us.
Right.
And the truth is, if this episode helps one person heal and find some treatment and become a better version of themselves, it's worth the fucking 2 hours of our time, right?
Without a doubt. It's worth the 1 hour drive.
Yeah,
That was
know?
easy.
So, but I like to kind of give the platform to my guest, give a little bit of background, like where you're from, and then it'll be cool to kind of hear about your SEAL journey too. What made you go in the teams, what BUD/S was like, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I was born in San Antonio. I'm a good old Texas boy. Grew up in Boerne, Texas, and you Black Rifle folks, you didn't get our clearance to set up shop in downtown Boerne where we grew up. Evan and Matt, I'm just joking. It's a great shop. We were there a couple of years ago with my best friend that's an active duty Green Beret, Lieutenant Colonel type.
It's crazy that our friends are now lieutenant colonels.
I know.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting old.
And they offered him full bird colonel, and he was like, I'm done. I'm done.
Is it because he wants to like maintain his current position, or
he's burnt out, between Iraq, Afghanistan, all the losses.
Yeah.
One of his best friends was killed in action in Afghanistan. They were at Green Beret unit together, and I think they were at a Ranger bat together as well. So it takes a toll, like on all of
For
us.
sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this crazy SOB is the reason I became a SEAL. Go figure. So in high school, I was pretty blessed, and people that know me knew school was very easy for me. I was starting on the football team, played basketball, track, worked summers, still worked out, got ready for every season of football, during the summer with my boys after I'd get off of work. Well, I'm going to call him, I don't want, since he's still in active duty, we'll just go with RK.
Okay.
So RK moved to Boerne from Virginia, and his pop was working for a 3-letter agency at the time. So he moved. A bunch of my close boys that I grew up with were kind of dicks to him, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, this dude, he's got an edge to him. So we're at football practice, JV football practice, and one of my childhood friends, Roy, went up against him, and we're all doing defensive back drills. And RK laid him the fuck out.
So he just got some validity, right?
Yeah.
He got some street cred.
Straight up street cred on a Texas football field.
Nice.
That is religion to us in Texas growing up. So we became friends. I actually lived with him like half the year. I would stay at the house, tutor him and all of our other boys. Because like I said, I was blessed. I graduated number 11 in my class with like a 4.1, all A's, playing sports, working. So
I like that you said that, because it's not that you're tooting your own horn, but a lot of people, there's a misconception that dudes in the special operations community are knuckle draggers.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, they want thinkers. Like, there's
exactly.
a GT score to get into most of the unit that's required.
Right.
Know?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
we're not as dumb as people think we are.
Yeah. I'm probably a lot dumber than I was back then.
Yeah.
Because you don't use it, you lose it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But Ryan Kelly's dad took him to Fort Sam because they would go work out there. And back in the day, A-10 Delta was running through Fort Sam.
Okay.
So there was a bunch of Rangers, Green Berets, SEALs. And Ryan happened to run into a couple of our guys at the pool. And he was like, man, I want to be like these dudes. They're studs, because they were 4 or 5 months removed from buds going through 18 Delta.
Yeah.
So they're just studs. Best shape of our lives right after buds. And they made such an impact. He came home. I was planning on going to the University of Texas. I was going to get an academic scholarship and then try to walk on the football team.
Okay.
Because they had given out all their scholarships, but they also didn't recruit me. So I was like, you know what? I can ball. I'm going to give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this crazy SOB comes home. I'm working. And then he's like, hey, man, you need to come over. I'm like, all right. So went over to the house. His dad was there. He told his dad, hey, Pop, I think I want to enlist and become a SEAL. These dudes are studs. And then his pop was like, shh. And he was a retired major from the Marine Corps Artillery O.
Okay.
And he called him out. He's like, shh, you're crazy. You're too much of a pussy. You're not going to be able to do that.
Dang.
Threw it down. because Ryan was a little bit of a shit show in school.
Mm-hmm.
And so I I tutored literally most of our starting football team, right? I would stay nights at their houses, make sure they passed so we could keep that continuity of our team and nobody failed and got kicked off the football team.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at their houses every week, every weekend. We were super tight and we're still pretty tight to this day. So Ryan was like, dude, I met these SEALs. They're studs. Let's go talk to a recruiter. I'm like, man, you're crazy. And our family is a military family. So our grandpa Johnny, that I'm named after, was a World War II tanker in Nazi Germany.
Dang.
Yeah. Talk about Fury, the movie Fury, basically. He's that Mexican kid, a young Mexican kid in a tank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Killing Krauts. And then our pop was a Air Force aircraft mechanic during Vietnam out of Guam. And then myself, and then obviously my younger brother's an active duty SEAL right now, and he's going to retire in about 2 years.
Okay.
So he's an E8. So Ryan talks me into this. We do our go talk to the recruiter at the Crossroads Mall. Lou Reyes.
Dude, my recruiter's name was Reyes too.
Go figure.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know how I remember that, but yeah, I think it was like ET1 Reyes. Super cool dude. Well, we do our ASVAB, and I crushed it. I mean, I almost got a perfect score. And I forgot what he got, but RK, he passed it. And the recruiter's like, man, bro, I need you to take this test. I'm like, I want to be a SEAL. What, is there a test for a SEAL? He's like, no. I kind of have to do this because you scored so high on your ASVAB. I'm like, what kind of test is it? You know, petty officer. And he's like, it's a nuke test.
Yeah, I was going to say, they want you to some fucking nuclear facility.
So I do this nuke test for subs and I smash it. I mean, I think I got a perfect score on that one. I think I still have the test and like my files from high school and shit. But I crush it. And he's like, my boss really wants to talk to you. I'm like, the chief. I'm like, all right. So he's trying to talk me into becoming a nuke and the signing bonus. I'm like, wait a minute. I know I'm young. I know I'm dumb. But can I become a SEAL if I'm a nuke? And he's like, yeah, no, sorry, bro. I'm like, off the table.
And yeah. And you also don't want to, did you tell him you don't want to work on a sub because you're heterosexual?
Exactly. I don't want to be stuck on a sub with a bunch of dudes.
I'm joking, everybody. Relax.
But yeah, so they tried to recruit me for that. Once I found out I couldn't do both, I was like, yeah, I'm done. So I got in on the dive fair contract. RK did not join me because he was playing sport lacrosse and tore his knee up and had reconstructive ACL surgery. So he couldn't do the duck walk at MEPS.
Yeah, during your underwear Olympics.
You know it. Whitey tighty.
Yeah. What year was this?
This was 96.
Okay.
Yeah, because we were both seniors in high school at the time. So the doc tells RK, like, hey, man, let's just put this in the burn bag, go get healthy, and then come back. And I was like, damn, my train, the SEAL freight train is moving on I'm on the track.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that summer, worked out a ton. I was working with our pop, pouring concrete, laying rock. I'd work from like 5 a.m. to 4, then run from my grandmother's house to our high school, get in a lift with the coaches, and then run out to Bernie Lake. And the Black Rifle crew knows what I'm talking about. Like, it's probably round trip from downtown about 13 miles.
Okay.
So I was doing that like Monday through Thursday, maybe a Friday, but the weekends were for partying. So, we'd be drinking. I got in a little trouble. Got rolled up by the cops a couple of times for drinking and fighting at parties.
Did you tell them you were in the SEAL pipeline? Get a free pass?
No, but we knew them growing up.
Oh, okay.
They're like, hey, dude, you need to go to classes, like alcohol classes, because you're a minor. We don't want to mess up your path, but you got to go do this.
Did you say you were practicing for being a Navy SEAL?
They pretty much do it because one of our dad's childhood friends was a SEAL, and one of his sons and I grew up playing football together. So he took a couple of rounds during the Patia airfield invasion, and he was a paraplegic for a long time, and he was an O in the SEAL team. So everybody kind of knew about him. And I really didn't understand that until like after I became a frogman and I looked him up on our database, and I said, yeah, he was legit, Mr. Pachachik. And, just prepping and running out there to Bernie Lake. And I'd tie my ankles up and tie my wrists together, and I'd jump out into the water and then put my hands behind my back and do my drown proofing, and I'd swim across the lake and back a couple of times.
Man. And see, dude, I attribute a lot of that because when I went through the Ranger pipeline, the dudes that were athletes, the dudes that played football and ran track and stuff, they were studs, right? I was kind of like a skater kid that played guitar and partied all the time and shit.
Right.
And like I worked out, but not on that kind of level, you know? Like I never ran 13 miles when I was a kid. You're doing it fucking 5 days a week.
After working a full day in the summertime, pouring concrete, breaking up limestone to do rock work, masonry.
See, dude, and all that shit, I'm sure paid dividends once you got into the pipeline.
All day long, all day long.
So if you, and it's actually good that we're talking about this because I get a lot of listeners that are 16, 17, 18 that are interested in walking one of these paths into special operations. And I tell them, I'm like, don't do what I did. I chased women and drank beer. And I'm not saying don't do those things, but make sure you cut out time for your physical fitness and your mental toughness, because that's what's going to get you. You know, they're going to teach you everything you need to know to be like technically and tactically proficient. That's going to come with the job, but your fitness, that's
preparation.
Something, you got to be ready for that.
Without a doubt.
And the guys that were, I always felt like I was trying to play catch up. You know, it's like, fuck, these dudes can hold a 6:30 pace for 5 miles. Meanwhile, I'm dying, you know?
Yeah. And remember, like, I was 18 when I went to Navy boot camp up in Great Mistakes, outside of Chicago. And then I checked into Bud shortly after my Navy A school, which I crushed as well. So I got.
What was your name? So is that in the Army? They call it your MOS. Is that, okay.
So if I had quit Buds, I would have gone to the fleet to be an operations specialist, like tracking aircraft and ships and on radar. And I decided to go to this school because RK had moved from Virginia and I had never been to Virginia Beach. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason I picked it.
Okay. Because that's where it was at. Huh?
Yeah. I was like, well, I've never been to Virginia Beach and he moved here from Virginia and I want to see what it's like. That's the only reason.
Because you knew you weren't going to be doing that job anyways.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But I got there and I actually ended up crushing that as well. So I was the honor grad. So I was an honor grad out of boot camp.
I didn't know that my new friend is like one of the smartest human beings I know.
I'm not. I used to be. I used to be really smart. But yeah, so out of boot camp, I got honor grad. So I joined as an E1. So I got E2 out of boot camp, E3 out of OSA school. Mm-hmm. And then Buds, once I graduated Buds, I got E4.
Is that kind of the normal progression, or were you fast tracking?
That was pretty fast tracking. Yeah.
So when average, well, I guess they're not average dudes if they're joining the teams, but the common pipeline when you get into the teams, are you typically like a E3?
Sometimes E3, but I think the new Warrior Challenge program, I think guys are getting E4.
Okay.
It just depends on your background because a lot of guys are joining that have their degrees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they either went to college or knocked out or were so smart in high school, they did the CLEP advancement test. So they got credits for college and then ended up doing like 2 years of college.
Got it. Okay.
Or 3 and they're only 20 or 21. And they already have their bachelor's. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though.
Yeah. But that's how competitive the SEAL teams in SWIC is now, because it's like an NFL draft for the military. Like back in the day, my brother and I, wouldn't have made the cut with all the minor and possessions.
Yeah.
Drinking and fighting, getting caught. No,
dude, I've told the story before. Our generation was the last generation where you could literally get in trouble and the judge would say, you're going to jail or you're going into the military.
Without a doubt.
And some of the best rangers,
so
particularly one of the best rangers that I know, he was our platoon medic. That was why he was in the military. He was gotten some drunken fight in Boston and got in a fight with the police. And that's what they said to him. Hey, you're going to jail or you're going to the military. So he's like, let's go.
It is so true.
And it's kind of sad because wild young men that get in fights and get in trouble, a lot of times a military path would be the best thing for them. But now it's like, if you have any bullshit on your record, like you said, it's like an NFL draft. They're only taking the cream of the crop now.
It's crazy. And the kids now, or the young men that are 18, 19, 20, they're studs. I mean, I thought I was in pretty good shape when back in the day, doing all the training I was doing in Bernie. I couldn't hold a candle to the kids now.
Dude, it's kind of bizarre. Like I look at, just because I own a CrossFit gym and a jiu-jitsu academy, and there's like 16, 17, 18-year-olds that are training there that like have big fucking traps, their deltoids, shredded abs and shit, looking like a muscle and fitness cover model. And I'm like, kids didn't look like that when I went through high school.
Exactly. You know? Well, remember Monkey's funeral when I spoke, I said, I was 18. I had turned 19 right after I checked in the buds. So it was April of 97. And then I see this savage beast.
Yeah.
Right. And he's shredded, looks like freaking Adonis.
Yeah.
And he's only 20.
Bro, I have a picture of Monkey when he was 16, and it's the same thing. It's like 205 pounds, 5% body fat. Just fucking freak show.
Yeah. Imagine that. I don't know if when you went to Ranger Bat or through training, if you had any guys that look like Monkey.
No, dude. Monkey is a one of a kind.
Without a doubt.
And I always tell people when I'm talking about him, and this was even like, before, I'm not putting Monkey on a pedestal because he passed. I put Monkey on a pedestal long before that.
Oh, wait.
Like when you're 235 pounds and you can run a 4:30 mile, that's inhuman.
Yeah.
That's like CrossFit Games championship.
Yeah, he's a freaking mutant.
And he could clean and jerk 350 pounds.
Yeah.
And a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Just, they don't make humans like that.
No.
It's fucking rad, dude.
Yeah.
We actually, you actually met her, my friend Angie. She's the mom of the boys that were at the funeral with us.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So
I remember her.
Monkey is, I always used to say, he's the fittest man I've ever met. Angie is the fittest woman I've ever met.
Wow.
She's crazy, dude. Like she's my wife's main training partner. And we always used to joke like, hey, Angie versus Monkey are going to do 100 burpees for time. And like on a text message thread, like talking shit back and forth. And Monkey used to say, just to make it somewhat competitive, I'm going to slam a fifth of Jack Daniels first. And like we joked about this quite a bit.
Right.
And then after he passed, I remember we're like, man, like, we literally should have done that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that would have been fucking hilarious.
It would have been.
It would have been a good story. And so like, yeah, that's what Angie said. She's like, man, if we say we're going to do a thing, we got to do the thing. We're not putting it off anymore because you don't know what tomorrow is.
Exactly.
You know? No, that was a real hard time for all of us just because he was the guy. And when you lose the guy to something as stupid as that, I think it's like hard to make sense of it.
Yeah, I still struggle with it. I'm sure Jen does and everybody else. You know, it's just, you think you're going in for something routine that's going to help you and relieve the pain and get you into a better spot.
Yep.
And you don't come out of it because of mistakes.
And like, I don't know, man, like he always had like aspirations to fucking die on the battlefield like a crazy warrior. It's like Lieutenant Dan shit, you know, is like, this isn't how I'm supposed to go out. What is this?
Exactly.
And, man, it's just fucking, it made me realize like, I need to make sure that I continue to live hard and stay sharp and all the stuff that like we've focused on for the last 20 years, but we got another 20 years of it. And I think about him and like, he motivates me to fucking try and be as savage as I can be. Cause dude, even at 43 years old, he used to text me pictures where he's out like chopping wood and shit. Yeah. And it's like, dude, you look like a fucking supermodel out there. You know, like what the fuck, dude?
Perfect SEAL hair.
Yeah. But yeah, so you guys were in buds together, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, imagine checking in and seeing that beast.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said at his funeral when I spoke, I wasn't going to quit if he quit, and I wasn't going to quit if he made it through Hell Week.
Yeah.
He was almost like a litmus test.
Uh-huh.
Like, all right, this dude's a savage. He is taking the beating that we're all taking, and he's doing it almost with grace. You know what I mean? It was so twisted, like almost beautiful.
Yeah.
And sick. I was like, yeah, if he quits, I'm not quitting. If he makes it, I'm making it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what drove me, bro. I mean, he was, think about it, of a class of 120 something dudes. This is the guy, like you were saying. So if he's going to make it, I'm going to make it.
That's awesome, man. And then you said you also went through with Clark.
So EMP was a class ahead of us, but we're all in buds together and hung out, right?
Got it. Okay.
So
how many classes are going on at any given time?
At that time, we had 3 or 4.
Okay.
So like a new class, the third phase class, the second phase, and then the first phase Hell Week class.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, between like the classes 210 and like 220, we're talking about some legendary operators.
Yeah.
Right? You know, guys that were on the Bin Laden raid, guys that took out the pirates on the Captain Phillips.
Oh, yeah.
The raids in Afghanistan to save the docks and, you know, U.S. aid workers in Somalia. I mean, you want to talk about the best of our SEAL team community? It was probably
that era, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy to think about, like, because we both enlisted in a peacetime military where the last time that the Rangers mixed it up was 93 in Mogadishu. Right. And like we look at our Ranger history, like Panama and Grenada and Somalia, and we put those guys on a pedestal because it's like, man, they actually did the real Ranger mission, which is fucking rad, right? Who would have ever thought that our generation would be the generation that would get the most combat pretty much out of, I mean, since Vietnam.
Yeah.
You know? And now it's starting to wind down, or I mean, it's not starting, it all but has wind down. Like there's people, I've talked to people that have done a 4-year enlistment in the military that never deployed. We're back to that now, you know?
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think like timing is everything.
It is. And we have no control over it. Like none of us could have seen, you know, 9/11 happening. I had just gotten back from my first deployment in the teams. We were out in Camp Doha, Kuwait, taking down Saddam's Iraqi ships that was smuggling everything from oil to weapons, sometimes people. But, I mean, we were busy as hell.
This was pre 9/11?
This was right before 9/11.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah. So we were taking down, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 ships a night, you know, out of a Kuwaiti naval base. Now,
without being an OPSEC violation, but what do you mean necessarily by taking it down? Like, what did that mission look like?
We do a non-compliant visit board search and seizure, so non-compliant VBSS, and then we did a Helo VBSS. But we were super busy because they wanted us to be out there taking down every Iraqi ship possible.
Wow.
Yeah. So at the time, SEAL Team 3 had all the Mideast AO. So all of our platoons that were going out there to do the rotation, busy as hell. Because they wanted it. They were trying to lock down Saddam with the UN sanctions.
So that was what, 2000, 2001 before?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So
how long were those rotations for you guys?
6 to 7 months.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah. And I mean, we were working.
Was that the typical SEAL rotation once you started pushing to Afghanistan and Iraq?
Yep. And some platoons would get pushed at like 8 or 9 months because they were trying different little, I guess, recipes for deployments. But guys were busy. I mean, we were busy right before 9/11. We got home 2 days before 9/11.
Wow.
And my ex-girlfriend at the time called me. Her family was in upstate New York, and she called me and she's like, "You need to turn on the TV. a plane just crashed into one of the towers. Turn it on. I think it was 6 a.m. on the West Coast. I was in San Diego, living there at the time. And sure as shit, within minutes, the second bird hit the second tower.
And we knew.
Oh, yeah. I
mean, everything about our lives changed in a moment.
Yeah. Within that moment, seeing it live. And then within, I don't know, half an hour, our chief had called us, said, we're not unpacking our pallets, stand by.
Yeah, just gonna turn and burn.
Yeah.
Huh?
So all the platoons at Team 3 were at the Middle East. Everybody was ramping up for the invasion. Because once they figured it out, I mean, within hours.
Yeah.
So
Well, do you remember like the celebrations in Palestine and shit? Like,
oh, yeah.
It was fucking crazy.
Yeah. All over the Middle East.
Yeah.
Yeah. Death to America.
Yep.
Man. So sad. What a sad fucking day. And I remember it like it was yesterday.
Dude, as do I. It was my last day of Ranger School.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So the last day of Ranger School, it's funny. I always get caught up telling the same stories with guests because we all walked a similar path, you know?
Right.
Listeners are probably like, I've heard that fucking story 15 times. But it was our last day of Ranger School. And when your last day of Ranger School, you put your parachute on and you're in Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, and they fly you back to Benning. You jump in and then you graduate Ranger School.
Right.
And they're like, cadre came out, like, everyone de-kit, take your chutes off, stack them over here, come into the auditorium. We have something to show you. And we're all like, what the fuck, dude? And it's because Bush grounded all aircraft.
Right.
So we weren't jumping back into Benning now. We were taking buses back. So they brought us in the auditorium and told everybody what happened. And it's like, it's fucking on.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it. It's on, you know? And it's funny too, because I mean, at this point, everybody had already got their goes. Everybody was graduating. Like, everybody was in high spirits already. It was our last day of Ranger School, right? And the cadre is like, because people were celebrating. They're like, fuck yeah, we're going to war.
Yeah.
The cadre is like, you're not going anywhere. Shut up. It's like, no. You're not going anywhere because you're a cadre at Ranger School. We're part of the regiment. We're fucking, and dude, same thing. I was gone in a month. And
F and G's going to war.
Bro, dude, October 19th, 2001 was the invasion of Afghanistan. It was my 21st birthday.
Oh, wow.
And dude, we were getting ready to jump in, and then they pulled my platoon last minute.
No way.
They said the objective is a battalion-sized mission, so 3rd Battalion's going to take it, and we're going to pull the 2nd Battalion attachment. So we sat and watched.
Yeah.
Bro. And the thing is, it wasn't like a high-speed mission. They didn't kill a bunch of dudes, but just the like historical significance of fucking invading Afghanistan on my 21st birthday would have been so rad, dude.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty sick 21st.
But nope. Had to sit in an airfield on Amman, Jordan and watch 3rd Battalion do it.
They're like, psych, Greg.
Yeah. But dude, our rotations were 90 days.
Yeah.
Like, you hear your guys' are like 7-8 months. It's funny because you get spoiled and that starts to become your reality or your norm. And we had one deployment. I was in Afghanistan. And then the rest of the regiment was it March 3rd, 03 when we invaded Iraq?
March 20th.
March 20th?
Yep.
And we were in Afghanistan, my platoon. And they said, hey, just so you know, no relief is coming. This deployment is now open-ended because the rest of the regiment is busy. And we didn't get out of Afghanistan. It was like 6.5 months. And I remember we're just like, this is a fucking eternity. Like, we've been here forever. Meanwhile, you got infantry, rather like straight leg infantry units that are doing 18-month rotations.
Yeah. Nuts.
That's like a PCS move.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, dude?
What's the zip code for Afghanistan?
Yeah. That's your new life. That's not just fucking, that's not a deployment.
Or you just use a Latin long for your base as your new zip code.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy to think, like, dudes with families and children, like 18 months away from your family. Like, no wonder so many military families are broken and addicted to like alcoholism, all the stuff that comes along with that, you know?
Yeah, that op tempo will break you without a doubt.
You know, everybody thinks PTS is from killing someone or watching one of your friends die. And like that stuff obviously contributes to it. But how much of it is like all of the other problems that your wife fucking left you while you were deployed?
Right. Dear John letters.
Yeah, dude. I bet you have as many crazy stories as I do about it. Like, I had buddies in my platoon that's like, they got a letter and their wife's like, this is your divorce papers. I sold your truck. I kicked you out of our apartment. You no longer live here when you get home. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
You know?
I had one of my new guys, when we invaded Iraq, he was going through something like that. I won't use his real name, but his call sign's the Skin Poodle.
Do I get to hear backstory on Skin Poodle?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely off record.
Roger that.
But he was having a hard time with his wife, and he actually, the CO kind of did him dirty. Our CO did, and he didn't trust him, and he didn't want to invade Iraq. He was like, I don't trust this dude. Like, he's kind of fucking me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my wife. Well, she was hanging out with another SEAL from another team, and it was just a mess. You know? Yeah.
Dang. Dude.
Yeah.
So that actually, I'm going to tell this story on the air. I've never told this story before. I was, 2nd Battalion was deployed to Afghanistan, and we were we deployed home on the normal timeline, but Bravo Company was held back. They were like the rear D. And so we get home, and what do you do when you get home? You go out and you party at the bars and you fucking cut loose and go kind of crazy.
Right.
And there was this chick at the bar that was a smoke show. She was like a 10, right? And she was just hanging, just slobbering drunk all over everybody, you know?
Wounded gazelle.
Yeah. And of course, they're like, oh, fuck yeah, you know? So start fucking talking to this girl and having drinks with her. And she's like, yeah, my husband's still deployed. You can come home with me. Oh. And I was like, immediately, like, what the fuck, dude? I said, what unit's your husband with? He's with 275. And I'm like, let's go right fucking now. I walk her out to her truck, and me and Toby Folk, who was on last week's episode, he was the other team leader in my squad. We drive to her house and we fucking put her in bed. And we sleep on the couch downstairs. And I never said anything to the guy. And I used to, like, you know, the truth is, like, I didn't save anything.
Right.
If that's her, she went and got fucked the next night. You know what I mean? Like,
without a doubt.
I didn't save anything, but we felt like that was our moral obligation. This is our Ranger buddy's wife, drunk, acting like a slut, when he's still in Afghanistan, and he's coming home soon. So she's trying to get it in, you know? It's like, it was just
before
gross,
he even gets home.
you know? And so we're on the couch, and she's literally upstairs saying, are you guys really not going to come upstairs and join me? And we're just like, what the fuck is going on, dude? But yeah, wow. And then we had another guy, and I was in 3rd Platoon, 2nd Platoon, gets home from Afghanistan, the birth of his son. He's so excited. You know what I mean? This is a big deal. At the hospital, it comes out black. Immediately, she's like, I was raped and I was too ashamed to tell you about it. And like, fuck, dude. And so people listening, those kind of stories happen all the time.
Without a doubt, they do.
When you're 21 years old, you're a young girl, and your boyfriend or your husband's gone for 6-9 months. Like, people are people, and shit happens.
Right.
And dude, that's actually like a real dark side of the military, that like the family unit, a lot of times it's a struggle.
Yeah.
You know,
it is.
I mean, I had my squad leader, I'm not even gonna say his name because he's still with the unit to this day, but him and his wife would get in these fucking crazy fights where she's like trying to throw the Xbox and like fucking slinging plates at him and shit. Like, he's like, dude, there's fucking broken Xbox and China all over our fucking living room and shit. And it's like, you don't think of that when you think of a Delta operator.
Right.
But dude, at all levels of special operations, there's a lot of toxic shit that goes on.
Yeah.
Did you ever read Tom Satterley's book, All Secure?
No, I haven't.
Bro, that'll be a good one for you.
Yeah.
Especially as we get into what we're going to get into, because he's doing a similar thing that you. He started the All Secure Foundation, and he's on the same mission that you're on, is helping veterans.
Right.
But he talks about all that stuff too. It's like crazy fucking times, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you think war is crazy? You know, you come home and the shit you're dealing with your family stateside is sometimes worse.
Yeah.
And bro, it got to the point like that for me where deployments actually felt more normal.
Right.
than being at home.
And how messed up is that?
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
You want to be deployed as opposed to being home.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of control the war overseas. And then it seems so much more out of control when you're home.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
And dude, I've talked about this a lot, and I don't say this as like trying to like puff my chest or act like I'm tough. Like once I accepted that I was going to get killed in the war, I had no fear at all. And I'm sure you saw that with all your guys too, because that's just the mentality that I feel like everybody adopted. And it's like, once you don't care if you live or die, war's fun as fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Like it was a blast.
I was putting everything that I learned, or we learned, all of us, putting it out there on the table saying, all right, we're going to test my medal or our team's medal to see where our training got us.
Uh-huh.
And it worked.
And fear wasn't like an emotion that you felt over there. I remember being in really fucked up situations at time where you're like pinned down on a rooftop, or you're in we got ambushed one time. It was like a scene out of that movie Clear and Present Danger.
Oh yeah.
Where they were on the rooftops with PKMs and RPGs on both sides of us. And we were in level 7 armor. All the windows are spider webbing and shit. And they're shooting RPGs. But fear, there was never a moment when it's like, oh my God, I'm going to die. No. It's just like, all right, we got to fucking reverse out and this and that and like return fire. And it just becomes second nature. And I think that once you arrive at that level, that's when you realize like, dude, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
This is who we are. This
Almost
is why,
like breathing.
Yeah, this is why when you were 17 years old and you said, I want to be a Navy SEAL, is because there's a part of you that wanted to get it on. If you didn't have that in you, you wouldn't have pursued that path.
Right.
Let me ask you this, because I was literally just talking to my Ranger buddy. Do you think that they develop these like just this belief structure and this attitude through the pipeline? Or do you think that the men that pursue that are already hardwired like that, and that's why you went down that path to start with?
I believe it's probably a little combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The guys I went through buds with, most of them came from, I'm going to segue this here in a little bit, but came from pretty solid homes. Mom and dad have been married for years, solid jobs, teachers, lawyers, scientists. Like, we grew up in a fucked up home.
Uh-huh.
Our dad was a major alcoholic back in the day. Used to beat the living shit out of our mother like she was a dude. And I'd be there, the oldest of 4, trying to, swinging an iron at him to protect our mom. And then our aunt, we call her Uncle O, was a lesbian who had her girlfriend living with us at the time, way before lesbians were cool.
Uh-huh.
Right? So we loved her, and she's my favorite aunt because she went toe-to-toe with me against our pop.
Wow.
So growing up like that for my brother and me had a real big impact, I think, on us making it through buds. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's pretty unique that you grew up in such a toxic environment, yet had the wherewithal and the discipline to do well academically and be disciplined in your sports. Like that's breaking the cycle for sure. Because statistics prove it. Most people that grow up in that kind of environment, the cycle repeats.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know who brought that up? My best friend from high school, RK, that's the active duty Green Beret.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, dude, you broke the cycle, not just for your family, like you forged a path for your brother and me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, just to circle back to RK. Because you said he wanted a SEAL contract too, and then he blew his knee out. So then when he got healed up and decided to pursue military again, what made him go Green Beret?
I pushed him that direction. So I got back from that first deployment, and I didn't finish this up earlier. So everybody was coming out of the woodworks from all the training cells, all the cadre wanted it, and they plussed up all of our platoons at Team 3. So RCO was like, hey, you guys just got back from deployment. Hold what you got. Don't unpack, but you're not going to do the invasion. And I was trying to get in other platoons left and right.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Because we had just gotten back and we were operating. We weren't smoking dudes, but we were still operating, doing some dangerous shit, taking down those Iraqi tankers. I mean, doing 90-foot or 100-foot fast ropes on a 90-foot fast rope. Yeah. Because we were working with pilots that just didn't know how to hold station, and the ropes were coming off the decks on the ships when we were doing HVBSS.
Dude, when I think of fast roping, I wonder how we don't have more dudes get killed all the time.
I know.
So I was a fast rope master, and when you're fast roping out of the back like a 47, the rope is almost out of reach.
Right.
Like you're falling when you grab that rope. To grab the rope out of the back of a 47, it's full commitment, right? And I think about that.
You're all in.
Dude, I have pretty long arms, right? There were some short rangers, and I remember thinking like, man, if it's a little bit of a struggle for me, it's straight fucking dangerous.
Little T-Rexes.
Yeah. And then, dude, like, you got your gloves on, you got 100 pounds of kit, and especially like I was a saw gunner for a while,
right?
Which, I mean, that's middle of the road. There was 240 gunners,
right?
Like just burning in on top of each other. And you think about all that crazy training, and I was like, dude, how did no one ever get hurt doing that? It doesn't even make sense, dude.
Yeah, one of my boys on that deployment, a couple of them got a little messed up. One of my boys, he's over at Damnick still. He's been in almost 22 years. Absolute stud. Will probably be the command master chief of Damnick.
Oh, wow.
In the next 4 or 5 years, to be honest with you. That's what a stud he is. But
he got fucked up doing that?
He was the last dude out of the bird on one of our fast row HVBSS, Hilo VBSS. And the pilot started drifting over the rail, and the rope stayed on the edge of the rail, and he hooked his arm, and the rope went away with the bird, and he had to pull himself up.
Bro, like,
you're talking on a ship that's like, I don't know, 700 feet long, doing like 20 knots.
Yeah, good luck ever fucking seeing that person again.
He would have been chopped up by the props.
That's nuts, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Who was TF 160th flying for you guys back then?
No, it was our support was out of San Diego, so the Hilo squadron's out of there.
Okay.
So they'd have new pilots on the rotation, so they'd let them practice while we're doing real world ship takedowns.
Dude, that's the most military thing I've ever heard. Dude.
Right. You're like, what the? We wanted to kill that pilot, and we got over it. We're like, dude, like, if you do anything, drift to midship, you have one of our guys on the bird as a sniper. Well, and if you start taking fire, you got somebody who's very proficient.
Well, plus, hey, this is what we're doing. This comes with an inherent risk. You want to be a fucking combat helicopter pilot? Guess what? You might get fucking shot at sometimes.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you get to drop dudes in the ocean.
I know. And then on that deployment as well, we did about, I want to say, a dozen HVBSS ops. And one of the times, the fast rope got half hitched on one of the, on the ship we were taking down, one of their rescue boats. Mm-hmm. And a buddy of mine, Chris, went down before me, and it flung him because the helo was drifting, right? So it was half hitched on like the top of the boat. So it flung him onto the deck. I thought he was dead.
Dang.
So I come down. I'm like, God. So I fast rope onto the top of the rescue boat and just ass over tea kettle. I'm like, all right, I got my weapons. I'm good. And I look down. I unass it from the top of the rescue boat because we still had guys coming down. And I moved it to a clear spot on the deck. Then I went down. And I'm like, please don't be dead. Because he dropped probably 25, 30 feet. I'm like, please don't be dead, like broken neck.
Yeah.
Give me something I could treat. I get to him and he's like, oh. I'm like, bro, are you alive? He's like, yeah. And I get him up. I said, we got to go to the bridge. He's like, okay. So we were running MP5s at that time. Because 9mm and all the steel on the ships. Uh-huh. 5.56 would blow it through. So we we get up to the deck. I'm like, dude, and he's still groaning. I'm like, bro, are you okay? We're about to make entry. He's like, yeah, I got this. It's just like, people don't understand. Like, fast roping is super dangerous. One of the more dangerous things I did in the teams.
Well, dude, and not like, and this isn't really necessarily like a risk of serious injury, but you have like 1/10 of a second to get out of the way of the bottom of the rope, or the next ranger is going to land right on top of you, dude. And like, how many times have you seen like pig piles at the bottom of the rope?
Just complete shit shows.
Yeah. We also had, I wasn't there for that, but it was another company or another platoon where roping at night, like we used to tape a chem light at the bottom and then tape another chem light like 6 feet up. So when you see the chem lights that are vertical, you know they're not on ground.
Right.
But when they go horizontal, all right, you can send the guys down. But it like tree limbs and shit get caught up and make it look like it's horizontal. And then you're sending dudes out. They're zipping off the end of the rope and they still got 20 feet to the ground. It's fucking gnarly, dude.
Yeah, it is, without a doubt.
Dude, the other thing that I used to wonder is like, the whole purpose behind fast roping is it's a fouled DZ, or it's a DZ that the bird cannot land on. That doesn't mean we need to be 70 fucking feet in the air.
Exactly.
I used to ask these, like, wonder what these pilots like, hey, bro, can't you get me 15 feet off the ground? Like,
yeah, give me, especially on like the bow of these ships. Like, they could have gotten down to where, you know, hey, give me a 15-footer, 20-footer. Let's make this nice. Let's make this nice. Yeah. But like up on the bridge, a lot of these ships had passive countermeasures, like wiring everywhere. So we'd have to fast rope into that shit, and then like steel plates freaking welded on the inside, the outside, and it didn't matter. We had exothermic cutting torches. We had our quickie saws. So we're getting in regardless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're going to lock us out? Okay, motherfucker, stand by.
You're like, please do.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing more that I want to do than cut this wall open.
Yeah. And then beat your ass when I get inside if I don't have to shoot you.
All right, last fast roping story, and then we can move on. President Bush fucking alerted, I were like, the headquarters, the regimental headquarters in Benning alerted one platoon from 2nd Battalion, which was my platoon. And they said, pack your bags. We have an operation. And dude, we're like, yes. Like, they've chosen our platoon out of the whole regiment to go take down like some HVT in Afghanistan or something, right? Like, we're just thinking this, something super fucking awesome is happening. It's like, get on the birds. We're going to fly to Fort Bragg and then we'll debrief you. And we're like, fuck yeah. We land in Fort Bragg and they said, President Bush wants to watch a fast roping demonstration.
Wonk, wonk, wonk.
I'm like, you really flew a platoon of Rangers from Washington State to North Carolina so he could watch a fast roping demonstration? Like, don't we have, like, that's Fort Bragg. There's thousands of dudes that know how to fast rope that are on that post, right? And so, dude, we practiced this fast rope. I'm not kidding you. Probably 50 times where we fast rope on the building, a rooftop of a building, and then we assaulted down, right? And you know, like the thick white leather gloves that you wear when you fast rope. So on the real world iteration, when President Bush was fucking standing there watching, they're like, hey, everybody, leave your gloves here. Those don't look high speed. We're like, what? What are you fucking talking about? Leave your gloves here. They're like, yeah, we're going to rope in Nomex today.
You're like, sweet.
Yeah, it's like, dude, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, we roped down in Nomex. We assaulted this building. We're clearing rooms, literally shooting 30 times as much ammo as would ever be practical or necessary.
Right.
Just so it sounded cool, you know? And then he went to the CAG compound and watched another assault from inside the building. But he's not going to do, the Rangers aren't going to do that one.
Right.
You know? I just thought that was funny though. So then, fuck, man, how many pushes did you get to Afghanistan, Iraq then after the war kicked off?
I did that first push to Iraq. I didn't get to do Afghanistan because they said, hey, you boys just got back from deployment. You're staying home. All the platoons are plussed up. But I was like talking to all my boys like, hey, I'll go. Like, if you guys got a spot open up in any of the platoons,
Is that something that's even feasible in the SEAL community?
Yeah, just because, I mean, you're going to war and invading the country, and they were already plussing up the platoons.
Yeah.
But it was like, all the platoons were like, oh, that dude's a stud. I want him. That dude. So they were already full.
It's like a draft pick, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that would never happen in the regiment. It's like your platoon's your platoon, your squad's your squad. And
I would have gone back to my original platoon when I got back from Afghanistan had I gone. So I would have gone out there, handled business, came back, jumped back in the platoon, ready to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was ready to get after it, you know, especially with that moment on September 11th.
Bro, everybody.
Yeah.
That was like, that was our fucking chance.
Yeah.
To finally put years of training to the test, you know?
Without a doubt. So it didn't happen. But, you know, the silver lining was we had done all those VBSS ops on deployment and got some good stuff worked out and did some good stuff and had attaboys from the admiral and the command. And, you know, I said, it is what it is. And then we get ready. I'll circle back on that. But so RK ended up joining because you asked me that earlier, right?
Yeah.
So I'd gotten back from that deployment, 9/11 kicked off, and I showed up for his graduation from Southwest Texas State. He got his bachelor's, and then for a year or two, he was like, I think, waiting at a restaurant, a waiter, and then car sales, and then just a bunch of random jobs. And then he reached out to me. He's like, dude, I think I want to join. Go to Buds. I'm like, you want to do it as an O? Because he had his bachelor's. He's like, yeah, I want to go to OCS. I said, the billets are hard. But if you I know you're not going to quit. But if you get hurt, you're going to go to the fleet and you don't get another shot.
Yeah.
I said, I would go a Ranger because, you know, he hadn't even been in the Army yet. So I was like, I'd go to Ranger bat and then maybe become a Green Beret. And that's what he did.
Oh, okay.
So he, I think it was at second bat. Who's in Georgia? So you have Fort Benning and
Hunter Army Airfield in Savannah.
Yeah. So,
first and third are in Georgia, second's in Washington.
Yeah. So I think he was out of Savannah.
Okay. 1st Battalion.
Yeah. 1st Battalion. So he went to Ranger bat after going through Ranger school and training and was a stud.
As an officer?
As an O.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So he got through.
And dude, I'll tell you, Ranger Battalion only takes savages.
Yeah.
For their officers.
Right.
Like the difference between the requirements to get in from enlisted to officer is like pretty substantial.
Right.
And I don't necessarily know what they are, but all of our officers were studs. PT studs, just fucking savages.
Yeah. So he was at Ranger bat with, I don't know if you know him, Chad Fleming.
I don't.
So he's an amputee, peg leg, good old Texas boy. So Chad's on Marcus Luttrell's speaking tour, the Patriot Tour. And that's how I met him. He's like, oh man, where are you from? And this is years ago. And I said, well, I was born in San Antonio, but I'm from Bernie. And he's like, get the fuck out of here. I said, yeah. He goes, I had a Ranger that was an O from Bernie. I said, RK? Yeah. And he was like, I go, you got to be, they were together in Iraq when he lost his leg.
Okay.
So, they were working out of Mosul, I think. I could be wrong, but it was in Iraq. And they worked together for years, bro. What a small world.
It's weird how the community, I mean, I have a lot of people who are like, oh, I know this guy's a Ranger. Do you know his name? It's like, fuck no. I got out of the regiment 15 years ago, you know?
Right.
But then at the same time, every once in a while, it's like, holy shit, are you kidding me? Like, I went through Indoc with him or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Or like even boot camp. You're like, oh, dude. Hey, I saw you in boot camp back in 96, you know? But so yeah, he did well. I think he was at Ranger bat for 5 or 6 years. And he was like, I'm going to go to the Q course, bro. I want to be an SFer.
Man, that's something that kind of haunts me to this day.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a cool thing to do. You know, like I ended up pursuing aviation in the military, and that's what ended up ultimately getting me discharged. But I I just think the Green Beret mission is cool. You know, a lot of Rangers go to the unit. That's a very natural progression for guys that want to stay in. Like, I think Ranger Regiment is the best place to spend your first 4 years. And then after that, broaden your horizons a little bit, you know? But the Green Beret mission is just, it's cool, you know?
And it's changed quite a bit. I mean, it's evolved, you know, from FID to, you know, combat operations. Because we were with a bunch of Granny Beanies in Kuwait before we invaded Iraq. And they were a SIF team, and these dudes were awesome. I mean, we had a soft city at Ali Salim Air Base right on the border of Iraq. So we all shared the same hangar. That's when all the Hiluxes got delivered to the SF teams out there.
Oh, yeah. Bro, I tried to buy a Hilux when I got home. I'm like, I love these trucks.
Right.
You can't get them in America.
Yeah, no. But it was cool working with those dudes, and they set up all of our live tissue training. So like goats and pigs, mostly goats out in the Middle East. And they'd set it up for us, and we'd do all of our trauma training, you know, for working on each other out in the field.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was badass. And they were super good dudes. They hooked us up. We hooked them up, and we had a good relationship with those guys.
See, dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, once you are integrated with the community and the different units, that's the same story I hear from everyone.
Right.
Is like, oh, the Green Berets, they're awesome. Oh, the SEALs, they're awesome. You know? I can't think of a unit inside of the special operations community where everyone's unanimously like, fuck those guys.
Right.
You know?
Unless it's like a specific dude, like
of course,
a guy who's just a dick. You know what I mean? And has attitude. But we have all those in all of our units. You know what I mean?
You know who I think is maybe the biggest studs in all of the special operations community that gets the least amount of recognition? The PJs.
Oh, yeah. Them and the CCTs.
Studs, dude. Like, I didn't know many of them, but the ones that I did, studs. I know my buddy, we called him PJ. That was his call sign because he was the only, like, we never even heard of a PJ. What are you doing here, you know? His class started with 107, and they graduated 7 dudes.
Wow.
That attrition rate, you don't hear about that attrition rate.
And I know their pipeline is super hard and challenging.
Yeah, it's super hard because of all the medical knowledge. Yeah. But it's super physical too.
Yeah, you can't be a knuckle dragger going through their PJ program.
No.
Not at all.
Ranger's not going to the PJ pipeline.
Right. And then the CCTs, you know, I met a couple of those guys a few years ago in Virginia Beach because I was training our SEAL team support people like linguists, human, freaking drone drivers in combat tactics because they deploy attached to our guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was training those guys out in Virginia, and I would go into Virginia Beach to see my other Scotty that I'm super tight with. That's at Dam Neck. And I went to a jiu-jitsu tournament with him, and these dudes, just studs, bro. Watching these dudes, I'm like, damn, that dude would fuck me up. You know, but they're like all black belts. And so over at the command, they have a civilian who teaches them jiu-jitsu. And this dude's like a stud. I forgot his name, but just super quiet, kind of introvert, but a badass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and my boy Scotty was telling me, like, these dudes deploy more than anybody in the military because they're attached to us, to the unit, you know.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah, MARSOC. They're freaking everywhere. And he's like, they have apartments here, and they go home on the weekends to Fort Bragg. Like back and forth because their families are all in Bragg. Yeah, it's crazy. Imagine that,
dude. So then when you left active duty, what year was that?
That was December of 2004. And I was actually supposed to go to Afghanistan because I had a bunch of my boys from the teams on the Karzai detail.
Got it. Yep.
They're like, hey.
So the Karzai detail was kind of the beginning of Triple Canopy.
Right.
Because I remember, like, when I got hired by Triple Canopy, it was a bunch of CAG guys that were on the Karzai detail. And so that's an interesting question. Who put together the Karzai detail? Was it State Department or like?
I think it was the State Department, but they used Dynacorp.
Okay, so Dynacorp was the contract holder.
Yep.
Okay. So because all those guys, they had like a realization of like, why are these other companies making all this money?
Right.
We're the fucking guys that are doing it. We need to start our own. So Triple Canopy was started by a bunch of unit dudes.
Yeah, exactly. So we were supposed to go out there after I got out, a group of us, my best friend, Scotty Wirtz, God bless his soul. And then just like solid group of team guys that were getting out. So they recruited us to go out there and work with them on the detail. Well, something happened with the contract, and then the unit Bubba's cut away and created TC. So they all left the cars I detailed. Most of them did, and went to TC. And so one of our buddies was like, hey, we're going to Iraq now, but I still want you guys. So we went through TC's training course.
When did you go through TC's training course?
That was,
don't say April of 04.
No, it was 05.
Okay.
But it was January or February of 05. So we're out in, Memphis and West
Memphis, Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Dude.
Staying at the little hotel right there in town. Training at T's.
With the PVC pipe guns.
Yep, exactly.
Dude, I didn't know you went through that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So we had a big group of us, and it's funny, I hadn't shot in forever because I had broken my hand at my brother's wedding. On another team guy's face, and that's another story for another time. But yeah, I had literally just gotten my hand out of a cast. So I went to this course not having shot in like months and months because I jacked my hand up pretty good.
And TC's selection was very pistol heavy.
Yeah, really pistol heavy. So I failed one of the evolutions test, and obviously they let guys retest. And a couple of our buddies were cadre, and they're like, so he told him, like, dude, he just literally took a cast off last week. He hasn't been able to shoot in like months. And then I, came back for the second test and crushed it. But it was just one out of all the tests.
Yeah.
But to go there cold, and that, their shooting package was good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And challenging.
No, I loved TC's selection. I'll always remember, like, I have fond memories of that because we showed up and there was like three Rangers that were in 2nd Battalion with me. And you know how it is. Like, a guy knows a guy who called you and worked with a guy who said, email this guy.
Right.
His name was Ray Crumpler. I'll never forget it.
Oh yeah. I know who Ray is.
That was the name on the email. If you email this guy, you can make $30,000 a month.
Right.
Like, what the fuck, dude? I was an E5, like, what are we talking about here? And
you're like, I'm going to make it rain.
yeah, dude. And so we went through that selection. What I found is, like, the young Rangers, we were very conditioned to, like, eyes open, mouth shut.
Right.
And just, hey, I'm here to fucking suck it up and drive on. And I wasn't questioning because, dude, there were some people there that would like question the cadre on their tactics, and guess what? They weren't there the next day.
Exactly.
It's like, dude, you got to be smarter than that. Play the fucking game. Even if you don't agree with whatever they're teaching, okay, it's their course.
Right.
And tomorrow, whenever you're graduated, then we could fucking move forward,
Yeah.
But that was a good course, and it was physically really demanding, a lot of shooting. And once we got on our teams and deployed, bro, everybody in Triple Canopy was solid.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So where did you first go with them then?
So they put like 2 or 3 of our classes on retainer, and this is when they won the contract for Iraq, but Blackwater came in because Blackwater had originally had it, and it was like, I think $100 and something million contract.
Yeah.
So they originally had it. They were the incumbent, and they protested something about the contract.
So that's when Blackwater won the contract back.
Yes,
I remember that.
So we were all out of work.
Damn, dude.
Like immediately, and then my boss at the time, Mike, he was Red Cell Team 6 plank owner over at our training command in our office, because I was at our when I left the teams, I was at advanced training teaching CQC, urban warfare, VBSS, breaching, all the good stuff, all the fun stuff. And he reached out and said, hey, I got you and the boys a job. Contact Denny.
Yeah, very similar, right?
Yeah. And I knew who he was. He was our command master chief when I graduated from Buds, a legend in the teams, right? And so I reached out to him, and his call sign Snake. He's like, "Yeah, we got you. We got spots for you. I'll explain to you what you're doing when you guys land." So he literally picked us up at BIAP. Right?
Oh, okay.
So it was myself, my best friend Scotty Wirtz, another team guy named Jason Lewis, who had just started contracting with us, and they were at Team 5 together. So they were super tight as well. And Jason, God bless his soul, is no longer here either. He got killed in action as well after he went back into the teams after contracting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, J. Lou.
So you guys got picked up in BIOP. Did you run the HOD, the Highway of Death, back to the Green Zone, or were you living on BIOP?
We were living at Camp Dublin.
Okay.
Right across the street from the Air Force security gate on BIOP, where, all of us went in and out of. So we flew into Amman, stayed there for a night, and then flew into Baghdad.
I always loved the night in Amman.
Yeah. We stayed at the Intercontinental. That's a really nice hotel. And some pretty ladies that rolled through there.
Yeah. Man, I can't remember. Oh, the Bristol. The Bristol was the name of the hotel that we always stayed at. It ended up getting bombed, I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy, dude.
But yeah, man, we ended up going back to Iraq. Scotty and Jason hadn't been there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of showed them the lay of the land, and Snake was like, "Hey man, you come, highly recommended from Mike. We have the Iraqi ERU contract. We're training them up. We're taking them out on ops in Baghdad and Mosul with the Striker battalions. Do you think you can sharpen these guys for me?"
Roger that.
I said, "Snake, I'm your Huckleberry."
What was that contract paying?
What was it? $700 a day.
Okay.
So 21 G's a month.
The good old days. Dude.
Yeah, right.
That's what TC started at. It was $7 a day with 60 a day cash per diem.
Nice.
And so you would get your 60 a day cash per diem on the first of each month. And talk about like fucking poker tournaments and shit, dude.
Right. Yeah, that was a great contract because we hooked up with one of my Ranger boys. We're tight. Dealer. His call sign's Dealer. Fucking solid savage. And then one of our other boys, a Green Beret named Verde, he actually went through TC's course with us. So we had that TC class just kind of get picked up all together. And man, we're doing good stuff. And I went from training our Iraqis, and Snake was like, "Man, let's have you go up to Mosul and attach with the battalion, the Iraqi battalion." I said, "Let's do it. I'm ready to get after it." So I was working with 2 retired Green Berets, Mo and Fitz, solid dudes. Solid dudes.
So you were just basically an advisor position on the battlefield, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Man, I think about like, there was a lot of good shit going on up in Mosul. And I mean, I shouldn't be jealous. I was in Ramadi during that time.
Oh, yeah. You got after it.
Same shit going down there. But I don't know if you followed like Mosul after like the rise of ISIS and stuff. And dude, there was Americans that were going over there not on contracts. Right. They were just flying into Erbil and saying, "Hey, I'm a former Green Beret or former Ranger. I want to be integrated into the fight." And the Peshmerga would give them body armor and an AK. And dude, they're just going out there and fighting ISIS with no like any government affiliation.
Right.
And I had kids at that point, and I was in like turmoil because I was like, dude, I put this shit behind me because I want to be a father.
Right.
And like so many people in our community got killed over the years. Is like, it's just a numbers game. I did 14 deployments. How many can you do before your number comes up? Right.
Exactly.
And I was like, no, but fuck, dude, this looks so awesome. Literally, no rules. No ROE, no red tape.
Playing their game.
Yeah,
at their level.
Playing their game, doing whatever the fuck you want. And man, some guys got some cool fucking deployments doing that shit.
Without a doubt they did.
Well, fuck, dude, we've already been in an hour and 15 minutes. And the whole reason I wanted to have you on even the war stories are fucking radical. We
Yeah.
can talk about war stories for 5 hours.
Oh
probably.
yeah.
But
yeah, we could.
dude, it's what you're doing post service and post deployments. And like I said, we've had so many buddies that were killed or people that come home injured, both physical injuries or, like you said, invisible wounds.
Right.
And you're spearheading this new, like a new passion to help our boys out that are struggling. And I mean, just when we talked on the phone the other day, you were mentioning all kinds of different treatments and who's doing them. And I think that that's something that people realize the importance of it, but I don't think everybody fully understands like what's out there, what's available, and where to even begin. And a lot of veterans, which is bizarre to me, but a lot of veterans don't still have like their boys,
right,
or their community. Like they're kind of isolated. And
that's really, really bad for PTS and TBI.
And so like when my buddy, and I'll just use his first name, a unit guy, Zach, I knew he was going through some hard times. He got blown up in Syria. He was really fucked up, PTS and TBI. And I put him in touch with you, and you facilitated some treatment, and he's way fucking better.
Night and day better.
Night and day better, dude. And that's when I was like, I got to get Johnny on the show.
Yeah.
Because I already knew you were doing it, and I knew you were working with Mama Lee, and you guys are doing big things. But to see me and Zach were privates in Ranger Battalion together. We were deployed as Rangers together. Then we deployed to Ramadi together with Triple Canopy. And then he did the same thing that your boy did after contracting. He said, I got to go back active duty. And then he went to the unit. And,
oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And well, here's a funny story about him. You know that you can go to unit selection, any member of the military.
Right.
You can be a Coast Guard reservist and say, I want to try Delta selection.
Right.
And you submit your packet and you go to Delta selection. So he was a sniper in battalion. Like he was a stud, right? But he didn't want to go back active duty unless it was the unit. That's all he wanted, right? So he said, dude, I'm going to go back to his hometown somewhere in Minnesota. And Minnesota. Is basically Canadian.
Yeah.
And he joined some like Podunk National Guard unit just to submit his unit package. And he got picked up, dude.
That's freaking awesome.
And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. But he got fucked up, and then you really facilitated some healing.
Yeah, bro.
So, dude, let's go right into that stuff.
So with Zach, when you reached out to me about him and then put us on that text, I called him pretty much immediately. And I said, hey, brother, I just met Greg, but we become fast, close brothers, and I'm here to help. And dude, he broke down on our first call. I think I told you that.
Yeah.
Talking about that last big op in Syria. Mm-hmm. They had murdered a bunch of ISIS savages, and rightfully so. Yep. And I say murdered because they deserve it.
Yep.
And he was talking about the op and just broke down. He was telling me details about it. And I said, I got teary-eyed. I'm like, bro, I have your back. Because he was apprehensive about doing one of the treatments. And we'll call it outside of the States. I said, brother, I got your back. I will send you everything I did for my treatment, to include sending you my intentions that I wrote down. I will guide you, whatever you need. My phone's 24/7. You can call me. And dude, he was like, thank you so much. But he was in a really, really rough spot. I mean, he was just crying. He's like, he kept on apologizing to me. He's like, bro, I don't know why I start breaking down and I start crying, talking about that op. And I said, I get it. I understand. And it's okay. You don't need to apologize to me.
Yeah.
And he was like, like, thank you, bro. I said,
yeah, I'm getting chills just listening to it, man.
And I told him, I said, you're not stopping at this. There's other treatments that I've done that I'm going to get you lined up for, and it's going to change your life. I'm living proof of it. Like I told most of my boys, hey, if I can get better and get fixed and heal, not 100%, because there's still symptoms there and they're probably never going to go away, but I'm better than I used to be, and he was like, yeah, I'm really apprehensive about it. I said, look, we have no problem going to war, brother. This isn't going to kill you. It's going to get you better. I just need you to get on that plane when you go and show up and let the rest of it do its work and just go with the flow. And he did. He called me. I reached out to him on that Friday when he got back to the States. And I said, hey, man, just give me a call. I know you're probably getting ready to travel again. And he was like, man, I'm so glad I did this. I said, this plant medicine, it does wonders. And I told him before he went, I said, this is the first time in decades, not years, but decades, 20, 30 years maybe, that after I got done with my treatment, that I was able to close my eyes and just have peace and tranquility and not anything crazy like dreams or war or dead Iraqis or dead brothers. I said, I hope you experience that. Sounds like he did.
Yeah.
And
dude, it's such a strange aspect of our society is like, we have these men that become Delta operators and Navy SEALs, and they exude just grit and toughness and just the desire to go out there and do the mission. But then afterwards, when they're hurting, they have apprehension to just be real about it. And I've talked about it a lot on this show. It's almost like I think a lot of people attach weakness to it, right? Because like you said, he was saying, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. Why are you sorry for crying? The only reason you'd be sorry for crying is because you're interpreting that as like an embarrassing moment or something.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But dude, the first step to any type of healing is just being open, honest, and vulnerable. And it sounds like, and let me ask you this, are we good to talk about that treatment by name and kind of what it is, or do we have to kind of
No, we can talk about the plant medicine. Yeah.
Okay.
It's called ibogaine.
And it sounds like ibogaine does exactly that. And I mean,
does.
I actually would like to do it at some point. I know Monkey did it, and he told me all about it too. And Monkey was in a dark spot too.
He was.
And that's one reason that it's like extra devastating that we lost him, is because he was on the path to recovery, dude.
He was.
You know what I'm saying?
I know it.
But I've seen too many men that I hold in the high regard that have went and done this, and they're like, it helped me unpack it. It helped me like embrace that vulnerability. And once you do those things and you're open and you're honest, that's when the healing starts. And that medicine seems to facilitate that.
It does. And you have to put in the work, and you're still, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and we both, it's not some magic pill that's automatically going to make you better.
Mm-hmm.
There's a process to it. There's a process during, there's a process after, and you still have to put some work in because of how we're wired as special operators, right? Mm-hmm. Like even driving on the highway, you're like, fuck this traffic. And this dude almost ran me off the road.
I'm going to fucking kill him, dude. I'm going to fight him to the death.
Right.
Dude.
I'm going to go pit him. He's going to flip his car over. I'm going to pull him out of the car and beat his ass. To a fellow American who's probably just stressed out from driving in traffic as well, right?
And maybe he's checking his phone when he cut you off.
Right.
There was no intent even behind his action, right?
Yeah. It was more stupidity than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, like probably shouldn't be a death sentence, huh?
Yeah. I probably shouldn't kill a fellow American.
Yeah.
But it worked for me. Some guys have very different experiences.
Have you heard of guys doing it and having no benefits? Because I have not.
There's been a couple of guys that got minimal benefit from it, but then they went on and did another type of plant medicine somewhere else, that's helped. But just keeping tabs on these guys and making sure like, hey, I'm here for you, bro. I got you. Like with Zach, I talked to him a few days ago. And I actually sent him a text last night. I was like, hey, bro, Greg and I are doing this podcast, and I would like to bring you up. What's your nickname or call sign if you don't want us to say Zach? And then you cleared his hot to call him Zach.
Sorry, Zach. I got 4 Zachs at my jiu-jitsu academy alone. So
there you go.
There's lots of Zachs out there.
That's it. So yeah, he and it's crazy because he was in a really bad way, obviously, and we were just talking about it. But I had several other combat veterans before him who were on the edge of suicide. One of them out of Colorado. I used to work out of Colorado Springs for a medical device company. So I'd go to San Diego and then go to Colorado Springs. And my girlfriend at the time lived in Denver. Well, she introduced me to this amazing therapist and energy doc, Miss B. Well, this guy and his wife and his kids go to her, and she reached out to me while I was working in Florida on a executive protection detail, and she was like, I need your help, because she knows everything I've done to get better.
Mm-hmm.
So I called her and I said, Miss B, what's going on? Are you okay? She's like, I'm okay, but I got that one Marine veteran who is not doing good. He's suicidal. And I was like, fuck. I said, reach out to him, just send us a text, like I kind of did with you and Zach. She introduced me, and she's like, this is my Navy SEAL that I was telling you about and all the treatments he's done. Please give him a call. And then he hit me back, hey, Johnny, nice to meet you. Can I call you in like 5 or 10 minutes? So we ended up chatting. I told him all about everything I'd been through for my PTS and my TBI, and he was just in a very bad, dark spot, bro. And he was literally driving up to the mountain with his one round that he saved from one of his deployments to put a bullet in his head.
Dang.
And when she called him and told him about me, he cleared it and saved it, turned around, went home. And then we talked for like an hour.
See, bro, and that's like, you always hear people talking about check on your buddies, and I mean, I lost a lot of buddies to suicide over the last 36 months. And it's almost impossible to check on everybody all the time, right? But I'm telling you, if you have any inclination that you need to, the time is right now.
Yeah,
you know,
without a doubt.
And I actually had that moment with one of my buddies. I was texting him, and just something felt off, you know? And so I just called him out on him, like, what's going on? He's like, and we started talking, and he's like, bro, my AR is on my lap right now. He goes, I'm fucking fed up. I'm done. Like, I lost my job. And then he slipped a disc in his back, a hernia disc. So no more jiu-jitsu. He got a DUI and got fired from his job because he was an LEO, and just like perfect storm. Right. And then
trifecta.
Yeah, seriously, man. And so we stayed real close over the next 3 or 4 months, you know, because I knew like how dark he was. And he's like, bro, you literally like saved my fucking life that night. Days became weeks, weeks became months, and then I got a phone call. And he fucking shot himself. And it's like, that's not my fault.
No.
But that's just the natural, like, assignment of guilt that we give ourselves, you know? Because it's like,
it is.
And it almost makes it worse that I feel like he told me that I saved him once. It almost makes it sting a little more, because it's like, fuck, I dropped the ball the next time.
Yeah, what else could I have done?
You know?
So we would still be here.
And then you start playing the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and those will eat you alive. And they're a waste of time and energy because they don't mean anything. But I guess you can grow from the coulda, shoulda, wouldas and be better next time around. But the thing is like, sometimes, you know, guys are in a dark spot. Other times you don't. Other times they hide it pretty good.
I was pretty good at hiding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of people reach out to me from this show specifically, because I sit down and talk about it just like we're doing right now. We're fucking Army Ranger, Navy SEAL, talking about feeling depressed, talking about feeling suicidal, having our friends kill themselves, having our friends go walk this path too. These are some of the toughest men on planet Earth that I was walking amongst, and they're going through this. And what these conversations do is they give other people a pass to open up about it. And I've had people say that, man, if And I don't put myself on a pedestal at all. I think I'm average at best. But I've had people say, dude, man, if a guy like you can talk about it, that means a guy like me can talk about it. And that's what we want.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
And more importantly, Americans that are patriotic and love our military and veterans need to know that these treatments are available. We just really, all these foundations that we're getting ready to talk about, because I'm going to call it the Rona, COVID. I'm Theano, so I like to call it the Rona.
I call it the China virus.
Exactly. China
virus, yeah.
But we need people donating. We appreciate like the 22 push-ups, but that's not going to save a guy or woman's life that is struggling with PTS or TBI.
Yeah, you literally need to be able to book plane tickets and hotel rooms.
And the treatments
themselves, right?
I mean, the treatments run for all the treatment average somewhere between $3,000 to maybe $7,000 or $8,000, and these foundations are ponying up, but they're going dry because all of their events from last year got canceled because of the Rona.
Yeah.
And I'm super tight with some of them, and I've become very close with others.
Well, let's go right into it then, because I know one of them that's very close to you is the Navy SEAL Fund.
Yes. And I'm on the board of directors. So
me and Seth called me one day because I'm very connected in the jiu-jitsu community. And he said, hey, let's have like some of your buddies that are world champions do a jiu-jitsu seminar, and all the proceeds will go to the Navy SEAL Fund. So I got Marcus Bouchesha and Joao Assis, two of the best guys on planet Earth.
Nice.
And we went to Coeur d'Alene and we did it, and it was fucking rad. And Dan Liccardo did like a video conference call with everybody because he was hurt, and it was a hit, man. And that is what we wanted to do, is like, what inside of our community can we rally and create funds for these people? Well, let's use jiu-jitsu because that's what I know. And that's what Seth knew.
Makes sense.
And dude, we were getting ready to do round 2. We were going to have Leo Vieira out there, and we were going to have rooms at the Coeur d'Alene Resort where we were going to put some of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world, and we're going to make another big event. And it was like, we were in the planning phases, coronavirus. Shut it down. So, I mean, that's what you're saying has happened. And I experienced that firsthand myself. So, I mean, I imagine every single fundraiser in the country had to go through those hardships,
And then people losing jobs, and then I don't know about you, but like watching some of the cities in America being burnt to the ground, like Portland, DC, wherever. I mean, I was triggered, and my anxiety went through the roof, and I was ready to protect my little neighborhood in Rancho Cucamonga.
Bro, I wasn't only ready, I was like wanting.
Yeah. We had a neighborhood watch party at one of my boys' houses. He's a former Black Hawk pilot that flies for the sheriff's department now out in San Bernardino County. And he said, hey, bro, we're getting intel that BLM and Quifa may make a run for our high-end neighborhoods. And Rancho's relatively affluent. And the neighborhoods there's nice houses, and they only live like a mile east of me. So I brought over my body armor, all my mags, everything loaded. He had everybody had guns in the backyard ready. We had the front door open. All the neighbors had their weapons. Like, you make a run at us, we're going to stack bodies right on the fucking pavement.
Yep. Yeah, dude. And like, fuck, man, everybody from our community was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's why it's actually kind of mind-blowing that we didn't see something fucking take off like that.
Right.
Because, I was talking to guys down in Arizona about this. I was talking to guys in Fort Bragg about this. I was talking to guys in Los Angeles about this. Like, everybody was on the tipping point. And these are fucking unit guys and Green Berets and fucking sniper instructors and shit.
Right.
Not fucking chumps.
Yeah.
Right.
And think of it, like, most of us or were or are dealing with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. So the levels we were already at, and then you see everything going around in the country that's happening, and LA being burnt down and looted.
Yeah.
Brother, I know my anxiety was through the roof. You know what I mean? I'm getting calls from all over the country like, hey, bro, do you have ammo? I'm looking for ammo. And I mean, it was just, do you have any extra body armor you could ship me? You know, just people like, no, we're going to protect our families and our property.
Yeah,
Plain
as we
simple.
should. But no, that's interesting to make that kind of that correlation between the stress from those times and how it affected our community. Because now that I think about it, every single ranger I know was feeling that same way. And what is that going to do for you mentally if you're already in a place where you're struggling, you're trying to recover, or you're seeking treatment, and now you're like, we're going back to war.
Right.
Yeah.
On American soil.
We're going back to war.
Yeah.
You know?
And the thought, I'm thinking to myself, like, are they so crazy to come at guys like us? And I have to kill an American on American soil to protect my daughter, my girlfriend. I
just don't think the people that were conducting themselves like that and behaving like that have any idea what other Americans are capable of.
Right.
I think they get caught up in the moment and, dude, I can throw a brick through a fucking window and get a new pair of shoes. Yeah, fuck yeah. And they're caught up in the chaos and the violence. Because like I always say, violence is fun. Violence can be fun, right? So if you're a 21-year-old kid and all your friends are out burning cars and shit, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go burn a car. But what they don't realize is there's men that are much more violent than them. And if you think it's going to be my house
100%.
My house or my car, I will fucking murder you. And then I'll go back inside and finish my dinner. Like I won't even fucking care. And so, but yeah, that put a lot of guys from our community back into that headspace that, dude, we're going to war. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because obviously I know all of my friends felt that way, but to kind of sit here and unpack that a little bit, those are weird times for our community.
Very, very weird. You know, and
so you being kind of at the forefront of spearheading treatment options, you were probably getting overwhelmed, huh?
I was. I mean, the last several months, it's funny, my girlfriend, Monica, you know, you met her this morning while we had breakfast with my daughter. She joked about it one day because one night my boy from Colorado, I haven't met him face to face. We FaceTime. I've met his wife, his kiddos over FaceTime. I don't know him. But he's a brother.
Yeah.
He's a combat veteran, and he's a brother to me. I will never turn my back on a brother or sister, ever. So he was texting me, our therapist, Miss B, was texting me, his wife, like, I'm worried he's going to do something crazy again. So I was dealing with that. And then a ranger buddy of mine that's actually good friends with Victoria, that's how I met him, was having a really bad PTSD episode. Text me one night and was like, bro, I'm going to take this whole bottle of Xanax. I'm fucking done. So I tried calling him. He didn't answer. He was driving, which he had already taken Xanax. I don't even know how he was driving, but he's an animal, so go figure. And he texts me back, I'm driving, bro. I said, brother, please do not take that entire bottle. Please call me in the morning. And there's help. You know there's help. And I'm here to help. I fucking love you, man. And we can get through this. Thank God he called me back in the morning, bro. But he was, and I showed Monica, and she's listening to me, like, try to call him and then text him. And my poor girlfriend is like, holy fuck.
It's the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah. And she's like, you're trying to heal, but you got these boys that you're not even tight with. And you're like showing them so much love. Try to help them. And it was funny because she looks at me and I look at her and I go, I don't get paid enough for this. And she goes, I love that because you don't get paid for this at all.
Yeah.
You know, it's just love. Because I know if it was you or them and I was in that situation, I truly believe deep inside my soul that you would do that for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And I think people like us that walked that path where we did have to have like intimate bonds with the people to our left and our right, we learned firsthand the importance of that.
We did.
And so that's something that's still like hardwired into us, both to seek it and then also give it to others.
Right.
You know?
And that's all I'm doing is trying to pay it forward so I don't see another post on Instagram saying,
I know.
we lost another brother or sister to PTS or TBI. And even though I may not know some of these people, and a lot of them, I just know they're combat veterans and they're brothers and sisters that are Americans.
Yeah.
And I said,
in our shoes.
Yeah.
You know?
And I know where they're at. I know where they've been, but there's help. And it's unfortunate. Like, I love my VA. My doc and my team of nurses are very responsive if I need something. But them putting me on some of the pills they did, like mirtazapine, antidepressant, because I was really, really fucked up after Scotty Wertz, my best friend, and Shannon Kent, and Jonathan Farmer, and the Syrian American, I forgot her name, but beautiful soul, linguist, where I struggled because I had so much fucking guilt because Scotty was trying to get me to go on his team.
Oh shit.
On that DIA team. So,
man, it's so crazy that like how connected our communities are, you know? Because like for listeners of this show, Kent was on the show and him and I were Rangers together and his wife got killed with your best friend.
Yes.
Sitting right next to each other.
January 16th, 2019 in Manbij, Syria by a suicide bomber.
It's fucking nuts, dude.
But I dealt with that. I was trying to deal with that guilt because we mentioned it earlier. You think to yourself, like, if I was there, I could have smoked that bomber.
Yeah.
I would have saved the team. I would have saved other, partner forces, other Americans.
Yep. All the coulda, shoulda, wouldas.
Yeah.
You know? But the truth is you could have been there and been sitting right next to him and got blown to bits too.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's also just as likely of an outcome.
Right.
And so, but here's the dark thing that a lot of people don't talk about is sometimes you kind of wish that would have happened.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, dude, if you got blown up with your buddies, now you're not dealing with all of this grief and all of this loss.
Right.
And I think that's why some guys crave that in the special operations community. There's a lot of people that, I don't know if they necessarily overtly say this. Seth used to overtly say this, but like, it's like that a Viking mentality. Like, I want to die in battle.
Right.
Because if you die in battle, you don't come home and deal with all this stuff. Once you get home, this is the shit show is unpacking everything, you know?
And trying to integrate back into normal society.
Yep.
To go from the savage lands of Afghanistan or Iraq or Syria or Yemen.
Yep.
To being around like normal humans.
Yeah, to people that are mad that their coffee's too hot or the line at Walmart is moving too slow and all this shit. And it's like, all that stuff triggers you too.
Yeah.
Because it's like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And yeah, no, it's definitely, and dude, I've been removed from the war since 2009. That was my last deployment. And I still feel that stuff sometimes, you know? And like,
it's always lingering.
It's always lingering for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So with these treatments, and I mentioned the VA, if they could shift all that funding they have into some of these treatments that are actually healing our soldiers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Instead of fucking just pumping them full of pharmaceuticals.
Right. I may have been on the edge of suicide maybe once or twice, but when I took that mirtazapine from the VA, and God bless them, they were trying to help. That's the most suicidal I ever felt. My daughter, I took her to the park one day after being on this stuff for about 4 or 5 days. And I was a zombie. I had that 1,000-yard stare and she's like, "Daddy, are you okay?" I said, I'm fine. She's like, "No, you're not." She was on the playground and I was just staring out into nothing.
And she was what, 9 at the time or something?
Yeah, 9. And she noticed it. And I went back to my VA shrink and I said, "I'm not taking this stuff anymore." They put me on Prazosin for nightmares. I had every adverse reaction you could. That was the list under prazosin. And then there was another drug they put me on, but I stopped taking them all because they were fucking me up.
Yeah, and dude, you had the wherewithal to understand and see, and you could put the pieces together that this is actually it's not helping me, it's hindering me. But how many people probably just put their trust in the VA and say, well, they told me to do this, so that's what I'm going to do.
And that I didn't know how I was going to react to these drugs because I've never taken these prescription drugs. So I said, all right, I'll give them a chance, like a week, maybe two. No go.
No, so I think we unpacked the Ibogaine treatment pretty well. And I want to go into some of the other ones. But like we talked about offline, we can't save the world, right?
Right.
And so regardless of if this sounds kind of cold or whatever, but these different organizations that are funding treatment, they kind of have a matrix that each different organization has to meet like certain requirements.
Correct.
For them to fund your treatment. And so, and I guess I'll let you unpack this more, but the best way for people to see if they meet the threshold for these different organizations, it would be to reach out to you directly.
I can do that. Yeah. Cause that'll help me filter out for all the foundations so they don't get inundated with, phone calls and emails. And they put a lot of trust in me, knowing because I've been doing this for a little bit. So I'm pretty good at figuring out if somebody qualifies, what they're dealing with, their signs and symptoms, and how critical they are.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep. So what would be then, do you want to kind of go into those requirements or do you
Yeah, we can do that. And
Okay.
I'll just go foundation by foundation.
All right. So yeah, let's do it. Cause I know you did the Ibogaine and then there's the, just like go down the list then.
Yeah. So last year, or actually about a year and a half ago, I started because most of our hormones are off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a good friend of ours, Dr. Chris Free, just came out in a medical journal about operator syndrome. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, I'll send you some literature on it. He's an outstanding doc. He's been there for a lot of us. A lot of guys have been on the edge and he's talked them back off, but he works with one of my close friends, Sean Rosario, and his Warrior Health Foundation. Sean's a former SEAL, was on the East Coast at SEAL Team 4 and then went over to Damnick. And he created Warrior Health Foundation to help special operators from the SOCOM community get their hormones and vitamins in check.
Okay.
So right now I'm on a regimen of testosterone, HCG, a super B12 boost vitamin, and then another vitamin. I forgot the name of it, but that covers most of it. And it's a nonprofit. So as long as guys are soft combat veterans, they can go to Sean and his foundation and they provide this as a nonprofit. So it's free.
Wow.
Yeah, it's huge.
And dude, I've talked about testosterone a little bit on the show because I take TRT. Once I turned 40, I was like, I'm going to get on TRT.
Yeah.
And, dude, immediately, it's not just like, oh, I want to be jacked. Like,
yeah.
Or I have a higher sex drive. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Right. But dude, it's also like, you just feel better.
Yeah. Energy.
Yeah.
Sleeps better.
Yep. And you also are like, even your like mood.
Yeah.
You're just your average mood throughout the day is in a slightly enhanced state.
It is.
And, testosterone has a bad rap with some people because like, oh, athletes abuse it and it's cheating. And it's like, listen, we're not trying to be UFC fighters.
Yeah.
We're trying to have our bodies feel good because they're fucking broken down.
Recover. Yep. Heal.
And so I've been on that for a while too. And I tell everybody like that's lived our life, like how many explosions have you been exposed to? You know what I'm saying?
Hundreds.
And
Hundreds.
that's been shown to cause low T.
Yeah.
The overpressure alone, going back to those invisible wounds,
Yeah.
And so that's cool that now it's like an official channel that veterans can go through. Because I'm very honest about like how I conduct myself. I don't give a fuck about the government anymore.
Right.
Right. And if heroin and methamphetamine are legal in Seattle, then I'm going to go buy testosterone. If I want to use
exactly.
it too. And if you want to put me in a cage for it, go ahead.
Right.
But I'm just going through my own routes. And I have a buddy who's a doctor who's very knowledgeable and is prescribed like how much I need and stuff. And I just go that route. But I know a lot of people are unwilling to do that or can't because of like professional, like just the fact that if they were like a law enforcement officer, you can't just buy testosterone and shoot it.
Yeah.
Because that has potential like legal ramifications, So that's a cool outlet that people could potentially use.
It is, and it's 100% legit. Rosie, that's his call sign. Rosie has his team of docs. They do your blood work and get your labs back. They figure out what they need to put you on. Oh, that other vitamin's like a super vitamin D and K capsule.
Yeah.
On top of the other stuff, but very professional. Everything's prescription. I mean, they send you a box of prescription, everything, needles, syringes, you name it, you got it. And you're ready to go. And they're very responsive. And what he's been doing for the soft community with this has been nothing short of amazing because we're all messed up. I mean, your testosterone levels are so fucked and your cortisol levels from op-tempo injuries, being away from home, and just it all adds up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like with his foundation, we just need more people. If you want to help any of our combat veteran brothers and sisters, donate. Go to Warrior Health Foundation and donate. That's the best way you will help heal any of our brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proof of it.
That's fucking really cool. Yeah.
So, and they're out of Florida, but he's got a very good operation.
Are they able? I know some clinics will do like online consultations. Is that, or do you need to physically go there for your blood labs and
the
stuff?
The doc calls you. If you don't live in Florida or in the area, like Boca Raton or Fort Lauderdale area, you just do a call.
Okay. So phone consultation.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's outstanding. I feel way better. I'm sleeping better. But it's a combination of all these treatments and therapies that have got me to where I'm at.
Yeah.
So, and then, so after that, after I started doing that about a year and a half ago, Mama Lee, who's one of our Gold Star mothers and like truly an angel walking the earth.
I met her.
You met her at Monkey's funeral. She's got America's Mighty Warriors. So she's a Gold Star mother.
And her son was a Navy SEAL killed in Ramadi.
He was our
correct.
First, yep.
With Jocko?
With Jocko. Jocko was his boss, and Leif Babin was his other boss. Chris Kyle was his old guy, which Chris was one of my new guys when we invaded Iraq.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's funny because when you're Texas boys in a platoon or at a team, you just...
Oh, you gravitate towards it.
Yeah.
I remember that. The Texas guys are like, dude, we're from Texas.
Remember the motherfucking Alamo.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Lee was, he's immortalized in a lot of Jocko's work. So
without a doubt.
I think people that enjoy like the podcasting community are very familiar with who he is and his story, right? I remember when I met his mom, you're like, dude, that's Mark Lee's mom. Enough said, right? Yeah. But, I was actually just thinking about this last night, knowing that you were going to come down and do this. That woman lost her son in the war and has decided, I'm going to attack this front and center and give back to the community as much as I can. Because guess what? She's going through all the same stuff that we're going through. You know?
Yep.
And
she has put her heart and soul into other Gold Star families with the retreats she runs out in Texas, sending so many of us to the hyperbaric oxygen treatment, which I'll talk about in a minute, and doing acts of kindness. I mean, this woman literally is an angel walking the earth. My downstairs neighbor out in Rancho, her son-in-law had really bad PTS. Had I known about it, I would have done everything to help him out. He was so bad. He wrote all over his body and then blew his brains out.
Fuck.
So once my neighbor Dawn told me about him, and I asked how her daughter was doing, she was like, it's messy. It's a mess. I said, I'm going to help out. What do you guys need? And she's like, well, we're trying to get the funeral together. I go, I want to reach out to Mama Lee. This is who she is. They do random acts of kindness. We're going to help you guys with the funeral cost. So I believe Mama Lee sent a check for $5,000 to her daughter. So stuff like that, dude. I mean,
What's Mama Lee's foundation called again?
America's Mighty Warriors.
That's right.
And Jocko's tight with her. And I met her through my brother, Mikey, because he was close with her. And then she was close with Chris, Kyle, my boy. So I met her at SHOT Show many moons ago, and we've become super close, like a second mom to my brother and me.
Yeah.
But she does those random acts of kindness. She's done it for me when my daughter was in her accident and almost lost her arm. She called me and said, because I was going to court, taking her mom to court because she almost lost her arm in a razor accident. I don't know if you noticed her arm.
Yeah, I saw the scar. You said a razor, like a ATV.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a whole mess, but I had to go to court, and she was like, I had a bunch of money invested in the bank, but I spent about 25 to 27 grand
in court fees. Man.
And so she helped. And then our Navy SEALs fund, Rachel and Drago Desarian sent me money as well to help with my court fees. Cause I got to the point, I'm like, all right, I got to hold everybody accountable, and I'm going to take my daughter, and I got sole legal and physical custody for a couple of years, and they helped out, but it's things like that, and then on top of that, send in her requirements for America's Mighty Warriors is you got to be honorably discharged and have combat-related post-traumatic stress or traumatic brain injury. And then you qualify to go to hyperbaric oxygen treatments, which, brother, my brain was a mess. You do something called a SPECT scan. What it does, it looks into your brain, not just the outside, like an MRI, because I was dealing with 4 migraines, gnarly migraines, TBI migraines, like 4 to 6 times a month, to where I was nauseous. I had to be in a dark room, and I knew I was messed up. And the VA was like, no, your brain looks good, but MRI is just a structural integrity from the outside. So this SPECT scan, when I did it before my 50 hyperbaric oxygen treatments, my doc out in Fort Lauderdale that ran the clinic was like, Johnny, you have been running off of a first generation MacBook.
Oh, shit.
And we don't know for how long. And I think I showed you the pictures of my brain scan and all the little red dots. And you thought that was bad. But that showed healthy, functional blood flow. And I barely had any. I was a fucking Neanderthal.
Jeez.
Because I was a breacher and had all the heavy weapons. Man.
So you're saying you violated minimal safe distance?
Yeah. Shocker.
Just turn your head, close your eyes, and open your mouth.
Yeah. But I was suffering really bad, and that was after Scotty and Shannon and their team were killed in action. Then one of my close friends, he's a brother, Grandpa Bill out in Rancho. He's a Korean War vet. His wife died. His second wife died of Alzheimer's. So he asked me to be a pallbearer, be at her funeral. So Scotty, pallbearer, Miss Bernice, pallbearer. Our Uncle Juan back home in Poteet, Texas, had a massive heart attack on the ranch, and we grew up going there. My ex from Denver left me. And then one of my boys, who I mentor his daughter through one of our foundations, his widow was just in a bad place. And it was just one thing after another.
Yeah.
And then one of I call him the best male frog hog, one of our techs, a gunner's mate named Luke. He died from inoperable glioblastoma, so brain cancer. And so I ended up, going to his funeral, being a pallbearer 3 times in a year.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
Heavy on top of everything else, all the other laws. So I told Mama Lee, I'm ready. I got to go. The Ambien wasn't working. I was still popping Norcos and Vicodins from the VA, and they were giving them to me. I'd been on them for 11 years.
Jesus.
So they stopped prescribing me the Vicodin. And like all of us, drink a bottle of whiskey.
Yep.
Eat Ambien, Vicodin, go to bed because I had gnarly insomnia, all the crazy ass dreams, and I got to Florida, to Boca Raton to do my hyperbaric treatments. I was going to do 60. I ended up doing 50. And I got off the Vicodins and Norcos. No more Ambien. They had put me on trazodone to help me sleep. Didn't work. Didn't even touch me. 400 milligrams, 500.
Staring at your ceiling all night.
Yeah. So I eventually, after so many times in the hyperbaric chamber, I started finally sleeping.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know the science of that? Do you understand it at all? Or
Yeah,
do people need to Google it?
They can Google it, but pure oxygen is one of the only things that can heal the human brain right now. And it didn't heal it completely, but it did it enough to where, I went
You're
from
a new human, huh?
Yeah, without a doubt, brother.
When you say you did 50 treatments, how long is each treatment?
About an hour and a half.
Okay.
And they truly are the easiest treatments because when you go check in, you put your scrubs on, they hook you up, with an anti-static device because it's pure O2.
Uh-huh.
And you get in the bed and you just slide in the cleared tube and you watch movies.
Now, when you do 50 treatments, is that like 50 days in a row or is it
initially it was Monday through Friday, twice a day.
Okay.
And I was at a clinic in Delray Beach, but they shut down. The owner shut it down because of the Rona.
Got it.
So
the China virus.
Right. So Alex Cruz, who teamed up with Mama Lee to do the spec scans and pay for part of the treatments, it's called the 22 Project. He was like, do you want to go home? But I think I got another clinic in Fort Lauderdale. I was like, brother, I'm here. I'm trying to heal.
Yeah. What do I got to do?
Yeah. Fort Lauderdale's like 30 minutes away. I said, done. So that was a newer clinic with a newer HBOT system. Mm-hmm. So I only had to go once a day for an hour and a half, which basically gave me the same effect that was twice a day at the old spot with the older HBOT. But man, I went from those 4 to 6 TBI migraines a month to a couple of maybe 1 or 2 mild every month.
Wow.
And
that's fascinating.
Yeah. And then I'm not on Ambien. I'm not taking painkillers anymore from the VA. The only prescription drug I do is my high blood pressure pill.
Okay.
And then all my vitamins daily. So
it's fascinating, man.
Yeah.
So would you say, I guess it's hard to say because you've done a conglomerate of treatments with the plant medicine, with the hyperbaric chamber, and then the next one we'll go into. But if you had to recommend something like a place to start for people that are listening to this that like, fuck, man, that's a lot to take on, where would you recommend just like phase 1 of getting better?
For me, in my opinion, it depends on where they're at with their post-traumatic stress or their traumatic brain injury.
Okay. I guess, yeah.
So I actually created like a treatment matrix that I'm going to be sharing with some of the foundations. Well, all the foundations I sent to her, because I'm pretty good at knowing what a guy or gal needs, depending on what they're going through, their symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pretty spot on, almost to the T. So, people can reach out to me directly, like we talked about. My Instagram is @WhiskeyFrogman, and we'll do what we can to help. Like I said, we want to create awareness with this about these treatments, but more importantly, we need patriotic Americans that want to help, combat veterans that are struggling. we need you guys to really donate
Mm-hmm.
to all these foundations.
We'll do this too. We'll add your Instagram handle in the show notes, and then we can also add the different foundations
Yeah, we'll
direct
let it out.
links so people can go right to the show notes and then check these different foundations out. So, I mean, and the last one that I want to talk about, and I don't even know how to pronounce it, is the Giggly Block or whatever.
So before I did that, so between the hyperbaric oxygen treatments and the stellate ganglion block, I know it's a mouthful.
Stellate ganglion block.
Yeah, so we just call it SGB.
Okay, I remember. I'm gonna have a brain fart right here, but the Medal of Honor Marine that was on Jocko's podcast,
Dakota Meyer,
he talked about that a little bit.
He did.
But yeah, unpack that because it's fascinating that this is even something that can happen.
I know. It's crazy, right? So Dakota did that with the doc that treated me as well.
Okay.
And this doc works with Troops First, which is founded by Rick Kell. And he's just a super patriotic American and loves helping out, combat veterans that are struggling. So I got sent to him through our childhood friend. RK and I grew up with him, and he's a combat veteran from the Army infantry. So he had a crazy episode, a PTS episode last year, like destroyed his house.
Mm-hmm.
Furniture, I think, holes in the wall. So he ended up linking up with these guys. George Strait does a big veterans event back home in Bernie at Tapatio Springs Golf Resort because he lives out that way. And Chris hooked up with these guys and they were telling him about the treatment. So he ended up, after this episode, he was like, I'm fucked up. I need some help. They're like, we can help you. So they sent him to Baltimore to see Dr. Sean Mulvaney and his team. And Doc Mulvaney is a former SEAL.
Okay.
Go figure.
Yeah.
And gets it. You know what I mean? Like when he speaks to you, he's speaking our language, knowing what we're dealing with as combat veterans. Right. So they sent Chris out there. It sounded like he was a hilarious mess. Right. After he did the right side first. And what he does, he injects I forgot the name of it, but it's just like a steroid, not a steroid. I apologize. It's almost like a numbing agent. That numbs,
like a lidocaine or something.
Like a lidocaine,
okay.
Right? That numbs your at C4 and C6. You have nerve bundles, so it's so crazy because you're watching this and he's sticking a needle in your neck in two spots. And you're watching.
How deep does it go in? All the way to your spine?
No, just right next to your spine, but it's on the outside of your carotid artery and those nerve bundles.
Okay.
And you're watching this go in and it numbs it. And then you just feel this heightened sensation of like, and remember, I had already left the States to do the ibogaine treatment, the 5-MeO.
Uh-huh.
And I was feeling really good. I was sleeping well. I wasn't having crazy dreams or nightmares. And I was like, all right, let's see how strong this stuff is. And he hits me with it. And then he talks me through it. He pulls the needle out, puts it in the C6 nerve bundle. I watch it again. And I just felt almost like elated, just like my brother said, because my brother did it in San Diego and he only did the right side. But my brother said, you felt the weight of 1,000 elephants come off you. And dude, he leaves you there to just let it process. And I laid there. And I wasn't upset. I was just feeling so just elated is the word. And tears just started rolling, dude, off my eyes, off my cheek. And I wasn't sobbing or crying. And it just, my shoulders, my t-shirt was just soaked. And I sat there for 20 minutes and I was like, and that's their protocol. They check your eye because your eye gets red and shuts down, but it resets your fight or flight. and makes, because the nerve bundles are numbed, it redirects the fight or flight to your neurons in your brain. It's so wild.
It is wild, man.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've only heard about this a couple times, but it's the same story, you know?
Yeah.
Like, in literally one moment in time, you're significantly better.
Yeah.
But
and
that
it's like a
agent,
5-minute procedure, maybe 10 max. And then you let it set in for 20. So a total of 30 minutes. And you're like, holy shit, this is what it feels like to be normal or almost normal.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then isn't it like a 6-month procedure, or the treatment lasts for something like that?
Every guy's different. Every guy or gal's different.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't even need it again. Sometimes 6 months, a year, you can do it again. And then, so I got done, and I didn't have the same reaction our childhood boy, Chris, the Army combat veteran, did. Like, he was a mess. Like, yeah, that's what they told me. I was chill. We went back to the hotel, grabbed some food, took a little nap, and I was just like, fuck.
Wow.
It got even better after doing the ibogaine. And then I went back the next day, and he hit me on the left and right side, or the left side at the C4 and C6. And I felt a completely different effect, not like the 1,000 elephants, just like super calm, like woosah, you know, from Bad
like
Boys, like woosah, woosah.
That's fucking cool, man.
And then I flew home, but my body was super sensitive from leaving the States to do the ibogaine. So that's why I think it had such a dramatic impact on me.
Yeah, it's interesting how you really took like a multifaceted approach to this and did a bunch of different things at once. And who knows how much any one treatment was responsible for where you're at now? Because, like you said, it sounds like they kind of augment each other.
They do.
You know?
In some crazy connection of energy, the universe, and God. Like, they got me to where I'm at today.
That's fucking rad, dude.
Fucking miracle, bro.
What do you do moving forward? What do you think is the best path? That you went from a real dark spot and you're in a good spot now? Do you feel like this is you moving forward, or is this something that you're going to have to continuously work on and keep in check and not slip up on it?
Yeah, I won't let it slip up. I'll definitely continue working on it. And what helps me work on it is being as heavy as it is talking about some of the guys earlier that were suicidal. It's therapeutic knowing that I'm helping them get better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like my Ranger buddy, that texted me about taking the Xanax. We all chipped in and got him a ketamine treatment before he did his ibogaine to help him kind of take a few steps back off the ledge.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing really, really well.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. So, you know, it's therapeutic for me, and I won't turn anybody away. But we just need, like I said before, creating awareness with this, but letting people know, like, if you really want to save a combat veteran, whether it's a friend, your family, or a friend of a friend, donate. Because, like with Mama Lee and America's Mighty Warriors, 97% of what they get donated or from merch, you know, merchandise being sold,
goes right back.
And
that's an important thing to bring up, because a lot of people have become jaded over the years to all these nonprofits because their fucking CEOs have mansions.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I understand that you have to skim a certain amount off the top.
Yeah, people got to live and
to
pay
make
bills.
your organization work, and it's not feasible to think otherwise. But there's a point where it becomes unreasonable, i.e., the founders of BLM,
right,
buying fucking mansions, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of like if you're a BLM supporter or not. Most listeners of this show are on the not side of the house. But regardless of your belief system, when you're donating to a cause that you believe is supposed to help people, and then they're fucking spending that money frivolously, puts a sour taste in people's mouth. And I don't know, I'm not going to say any specifics on Wounded Warrior Foundation because I'm not familiar with the case, but I know a lot of veterans are very unhappy with how they have conducted themselves over the years. And so a couple things like that, and now people may be apprehensive to give money because it's just like those fucking commercials that come on TV and it's like, look at this starving child. And it's like, dude, that does pull on my heartstrings. I would adopt that child if I could.
Right.
And bro, I literally tried. I don't know if I told you that story.
No.
Yeah. I was going to work with some retired unit guys and we wanted to do a documentary where we went to these orphanages in Syria and I was going to adopt a baby girl because they are overrun with children, both from the rise of ISIS, where they were just killing everybody. So there was a lot of displaced children, but they were also raping all the women. And so 9 months later, you had this influx of ISIS babies.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the Iraqi culture. No one wants to touch those babies.
Right.
Fuck those babies is what they're like, you know? But as I get older, I realize like people are products in their environment. Those are just human beings.
100%.
So I was going to adopt one, but State Department shut it down, right? But the whole reason I went off on that tangent is when you see those commercials, they pull on your heartstrings and they make you want to help people. But then you realize like every dollar you donate, probably 5 cents is actually feeding that kid.
Exactly.
Everything else is flying those fuckers around in their private jets.
Yeah.
And so I can sit here right now and vouch for the words that are coming out of your mouth. If you're saying these are quality foundations that you're asking people to donate to, the money is going to treat people. Make no mistake. No one's driving fucking Ferraris and fucking partying. These are people that are, their whole reason what they're doing is because, like you said, your reward is helping people.
Exactly.
It's not the Ferrari.
No.
You know what I mean? You get, we're selfish creatures to a certain extent, and we want anything that we do should be self-serving to a certain extent, right? But that self-serving can come from the pride of knowing that you helped other people. And I think that that's kind of like what we can expect out of all of these different foundations that you've mentioned.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the other foundation, I haven't mentioned them by name, but founded by a former SEAL and his wife, is Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions. And they're helping with psychedelic assisted therapy for post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
And they're all part of these foundations that are trying to help heal combat veterans and stop the 22, which, to be honest with you, I don't believe it's 22 of our combat veterans are killing themselves every day. I think the number is much higher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't doubt it.
And like, you know, there's so many companies. So we're sitting here, you got a Black Rifle Coffee t-shirt on. I'm glad you wore that.
Given to me by Evan Hafer Actual.
And I have one of my close brothers, Mikey Sowers from Forged, his Forged t-shirt on. What I'd really like all of our close friends who are out there with their companies is to reach out to your followers. And I was looking at this last night. I'm kind of a numbers guy. I still got a little bit left in the tank. Uh-huh. But like, I'll give you a prime example. You have how many followers? 75,000?
Yeah.
So if we could get all of our brothers and friends that have, 75, 100, 125,000 plus followers to donate $1 a month each, and we could divide it up between all these foundations. Think about it. If you had all of your followers donate $1 a month to Mama Lee,
that's huge.
75 grand times 12. We're talking almost $1 million to send guys and gals that are combat veterans to treatment, get them healed.
Bro, let's create a movement.
Yeah. And look at Black Rifle. What do they have? 1 million followers?
Yeah.
We could slice up that 1 million followers into 250 grand a piece. That would be 4 foundations, $1 each a month. $1, bro. That would be $250,000 to Mama Lee, to vets, to Troops First, to Warrior
bro,
Health.
I think most people are willing to donate their money as long as they have, if they're comfortable where it's going and they bought off on the mission. And so that's what's important about what we're doing right now, you know? Because, dude, no one's going to miss $1 a month.
Right.
Nobody is. You know, I don't care who you are. You can, if you have an iPhone, you're not going to miss $1 a month.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Or a Samsung 21, whatever version it is, 21 Zulu.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I mean, that's the reality. And that's why I'm so glad you reached out and you're like, let's do this.
Yeah.
I mean, we have so many friends that have so many followers. Like Mikey's girlfriend, Sam, beautiful Marine Corps veteran. She's got like 175,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
If she asked them to donate $1 a month and we could shift that over to Troops First or vets, I mean, imagine the impact. And we're just talking about $1, brother.
Well, and here's another thing. We need to develop a method that is extremely convenient.
Yeah.
Because people like convenience. I've went to GoFundMe's before for people that are not part of GoFundMe. They're like a separate, because GoFundMe's kind of a fucking left-wing shit show, right? So people will start their own for different reasons. But then it's like, input your email, input this, input that. All right, we're going to send you an email to confirm you're who you are. And then it becomes a 10-step process. It's like, hey, I just want to donate $1.
Yeah.
It needs to be a one-click, and it's either directly linked to like your Apple Pay, your PayPal, or your Venmo, and boom, there it is.
And it's crazy because I could probably have one of my really savvy computer guys create an app to where all these foundations are on it. You just set up, like with Mama Lee, I have a monthly, it's not much. She asks like, hey, for 2021, donate $21 a month.
Yeah.
So I set it up for my daughter and me. So it's $42 a month that goes in or whatever.
Yeah.
And they could pick whatever foundation and get it out to all of our friends with all of their companies. And I'm telling you, brother.
Yeah, maybe that's what we do with it.
Yeah.
Like establish a way, an app or something that makes it convenient, and then we can really start pushing it out.
And what's funny, like I say $1 because I mean, it's so easy and it's not much, but people would probably donate $5, $10, 20, 25, 30.
Well, bro, and like my GoFundMe was a perfect example of that because that's what it was. It was 5, 10s, and 20s. And then in 3 days, it was $500,000.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa.
Exactly.
Like you don't realize the power of America. And there's a lot of good people that still stand behind the right ideologies and the right foundations. And I think if we can just get awareness and then develop a convenient method, I think we could do a lot of good with it.
I do too. And it was funny because I was looking at everybody's Instagram, like yours, and I have like 1,000 followers, whatever. That's not important to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It never has. It never will be. But like somebody like The Rock.
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
guess
27 million or something, right?
Oh no. He's I looked last night and I was thinking the same thing. But like, and I mentioned The Rock because he's boys with my boy Marcus Luttrell, right?
Uh-huh.
And I met him in LA a few years ago. Cool dude. Very just like whatever you guys want. We got lunch. Him and Peter Berg. Let me make sure I have the number correct.
Everybody's waiting with bated breath. How many followers does The Rock have?
Come on. I got bad cell service right here.
Oh, dude, this fucking hotel room is a black hole. And yeah, I don't know why, but it's fucking weird because I was trying to make phone calls last night and my phone just goes, makes a weird sound and drops a call.
All right, so I'm going to let you have 3 guesses.
All right, well, I already guessed 27 million and you laughed at that. So 120 million? Oh, 200 million? Yeah.
So he's got 250 million followers.
Yeah.
Imagine what he could do if he asked every single one of his followers to donate $1 and then split it up between all these foundations. How many lives our foundations could save?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I'll tell you what, though, when he publicly supported Kamala Harris and Biden, I said, fuck The Rock. So
I think I saw you say that on Instagram.
So I might not be the guy to reach out or try and make that happen. But, and I don't even feel that way. I just think like it was just bizarre that he did that. Right. But you know what? Hey, you do you, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I get caught up in like, just because people don't agree with you, they're not your enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying, dude? That's what makes America what it is.
Exactly.
And I get fired up and it's funny. As soon as you get some type of like, I don't even want to call it notoriety because I don't feel like I have notoriety, but just kind of a public platform, people put you on this pedestal and they think they like expect more from you. So when I say things like that, people be like, I really had higher hopes for you. And it's like, you don't even know me. I'm just a fucking knuckle dragger.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, fuck you. But anyways, so I think it's a good place to wrap this up. But I want you to, if people want to get in touch with you, I know you mentioned it, but it's good if you do it at the bookends of the episode. So if people want to come back and listen to it, just again, how they can contact you, the names of the foundations. And then again, I'll put it in the show notes so people can scroll below and have direct links to this stuff.
Perfect. Like I said before, anybody that is struggling or you have family members or friends, reach out to me on Instagram at Whiskey Frogman. And the different foundations are Warrior Health Foundation, America's Mighty Warriors, VETS, which stands for Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions, Troops First, and I think our Navy SEALs Fund, which I want people to understand, like we have the Navy SEAL Foundation and they do really good things for active duty, Gold Star families and active duty in general. But these foundations are struggling. We don't have the money they have. And we're so agile. When something happens, we make it happen within 48 hours. Normally is my experience, especially with me being on the board of our Navy SEALs Fund. Somebody struggling or needs help, we make it happen. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. And we'd love y'all's support. If you guys can donate, you'll know that you're doing some really, really good work supporting our combat veterans that are struggling from post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury.
Yep. No, I always say, man, like everybody was rallied around the military on 9/11. Everybody was stoked to get in the fight and send our troops to the other side of the planet to deal with those fuckers over there. But that comes with, we got to, if we're stoked and ready to do that on the front end, we got to be ready to take care of them on the back end.
Without a doubt.
And that's where we're at now, man. So
you're correct, my brother.
All right. Well, I appreciate you doing this, and we'll undoubtedly do this again and we can tell some more war stories and then do some more follow-up on treatment stuff. It's all good stuff that people need to hear. So
yeah, definitely. Love you, brother. I'm glad we linked up for this.
Likewise.
All right.
All right, man.